Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to Wantage Road, where we have Vitality Blast T20 cricket this afternoon between Northamptonshire and Gloucestershire. And I can tell you straight away the news that Northamptonshire have won the toss and have decided to bowl first. The players and the officials just forming up at the moment, because we are going to have a minute's silence in memory of the former Northamptonshire and England all-rounder David Capel, who, as we know, passed away just a few days ago. This is the first match here at the county ground since David's passing, so it is going to be recognised and commemorated with a socially distanced minute's silence, which the players, as I say, just forming up, so I'll let you know what's happening there. The news as far as the team goes is that Northamptonshire have made 3 changes from the side that beat Glamorgan last time out at Edgbaston, with Adam Rossington, Tom Sole and Luke Proctor coming in place of Ricardo Vasconcelos, Saif Zabe and Brandon Glover. And I'll ask Ian Randall, our colleague from BBC Radio Gloucestershire, to just talk a little bit about the Gloucestershire side in a second, but we are going to have this minute's silence, just an announcement being made over the public address at the moment by the chairman of Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, Gavin Warren, and he's just letting people know. Obviously there's no spectators in, but just letting everybody know what's happening. Both teams are lined up with the support staff, and in a moment you'll hear the bell ring to begin the silence. So that is the minute's silence observed in memory of David Capel, and now we can we'll get on with the matter in hand, the match this afternoon between Northamptonshire and Gloucestershire. If you're just joining us online, I'm Andrew Rowd from BBC Radio Northampton. My colleague this afternoon, Ian Randall, is with us, and Ian, just talk us through the Gloucestershire side, if you would.
So good news for Gloucestershire supporters is that both Chris Dent and Miles Hammond are fit to play in this game. Hammond picked up an injury in the win at Edgbaston against the Bears and didn't field. Chris Dent had a back spasm after he'd batted against Worcestershire and also didn't field, and didn't do his media duties after the game either, because we were told he literally was in the dressing room and couldn't move. So he is okay to play, and in fact the side reverts therefore to the side that's been picked by head coach Richard Dawson for much of the tournament. So Hammond, Dent, Cobain at 3, Higgins at 4, James Bracey, Jack Taylor, George Scott, Graham Van Buren, Tom Smith, David Payne and Matt Taylor, Jack's brother. Jack obviously captaining the side in this tournament for the first time this season after Michael Klinger left at the end of last year. And in Chris Dent they have the highest scorer of any of the players on view here today, 150 runs in the tournament. Paul Stirling has 131, Ian Cobain has 131.
Okay, thanks Ian. Well, also joining us in the commentary position this afternoon is the former Leicestershire and Worcestershire player, now involved with the Ireland coaching setup, Ben Smith. Afternoon, Ben.
Good afternoon.
It should be a good one. Top of the table.
Yep, top of the table clash. Really looking forward to watching this game today. Like you say, there's some fantastic batsmen on show, and the bowling doesn't surprise me that Northamptonshire are opening with a spinner. 4 of their top 5 bowlers in this competition this year are spinners, so I'm sure that's how they're going to look to hopefully put a squeeze at some stage of this innings on Gloucestershire.
Well, it's going to be Josh Cobb, Northamptonshire captain, who's going to open the bowling, as he has done, just looking through my notes, in every one of the other games in the competition so far this season. Bowling is off spin. They're going to be bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Chris Dent, with Miles Hammond the non-striker, and umpire Nick Cook gives us the go-ahead, and Cobb comes in, bowls the first ball of the match, and played defensively up on the offside by Chris Dent, and there's no run. You're just logging on to us or tuning in on DAB. Say 3 changes in the Northamptonshire side. As Cobb comes in, bowls the ball outside the off stump, bounces a little bit, and Dent attempting to cut, misses it. It goes through to Adam Rossington, who's back keeping wicket for Northamptonshire. That's one of the changes. He's in for Ricardo Vasconcelos. As Cobb comes in again, bowls to Dent short, and Dent punches it off the back foot but can't breach the field. Goes into the covers and fielded by Alex Wakely at cover, and there's no run. And the other 2 changes with Luke Proctor and Tom Sole coming in for Safe Zabe and Brandon Glover. And once again, Cobb going short. He's pulled that straight down the fielder's throat at deep mid-wicket, and it's caught by Tom Sole, and Northamptonshire have an early breakthrough. And it's Chris Dent who's gone without scoring. Short ball, bit of a long hop, and he pulled it straight down Tom Sole's throat at the deep mid-wicket. Dent goes for 0, and Gloucestershire 0 for 1.
Yeah, Ian Cobain walks out as... Actually, I think it's Hammond, Andrew, who's gone.
Okay.
Both left-handers, obviously.
Right.
And he really didn't time. It didn't make a very nice sound when it came off his bat.
No, it didn't.
Having struggled to get anything away off the off-spinner. He's picked up a duck here, Miles Hammond, on his return to the team. So Ian Cobain to give Gloucestershire the right-hand, left-hand combination. Only Bracey, in fact, is the only other left-hander in the side. So
yes, my point. I made the cardinal sin of going by the scoreboard, who says that Dent has gone, but it's definitely going to be Ian Cobain to face, as you say, the right-hander. And just tweaking the field now for the right-handed Cobain. And he's got, for the right-hander, still that man out at deep mid-wicket. His Cobb bowls over the wicket to Cobain, who gets off the mark and gets Gloucestershire off the mark with a single up to the other man on the boundary, Alex Wakely, who comes in off the boundary from long on to field. And they pick up a single, and Gloucestershire 1 for 1. And now it is going to be Chris Dent taking strike. Apologies to any member of the Dent family who may be listening. As Cobb bowls round the wicket, and he plays that off the back foot down to the man at backward point and picks up a comfortable single, so he's off the mark as well. A single to each batsman, and at the end of that first over from Josh Cobb, Gloucestershire are 2 for 1.
Yeah, he'd be very disappointed with that, Hammond, won't he? It was a ball that you'd have thought he could have chosen to hit anywhere really into the leg side, but I think looking at that, it just looked as though the pressure maybe of 2 dot balls, first 2 balls of the game, could have made him just try to hit that ball a little bit too hard rather than placing it. Cobb started nicely there. He's either bowled the ball into the pitch quite quick with an angle into the left-hander, or he's gone very full, so doesn't allow the batsman to get underneath him. He's got a very packed offside field to the left-hander, no one out on the boundary, so he's trying to create an angle from wide of the crease and not let left-hander get his arms free.
So Sanderson from the Lynn Wilson end, that's the far end from our commentary position. Alex Wakely's in at the solitary slip for Chris Dent. Sanderson right arm over the wicket, and Dent plays that quietly up to mid-off. And Northampton, of course, they've got 3 spinners available, because Sterling definitely a live option with his spin, and Tom Sole as well. Gloucestershire have got a couple, Van Buren and Tom Smith. I was thinking in the car on the way over, actually, when T20 started, it was perceived that spin bowlers would not have a role at all.
Yeah.
And yet now, arguably one of the most important options.
Correct.
Dent waits again for Sanderson. Comes in and bowls to him. He gets that one off the bottom half of the bat, and again up to mid-off. Rossington back in the side today. Keeping wicket. He had a problem with an injured finger for the last round of the Bulbulis Trophy, but with a shorter game, clearly happy to take the gloves. Wakely's come out from the slip after a couple of deliveries. He's gone into mid-wicket. Full saving single on the offside for Sanderson. Comes in towards us, and Dent plays it almost in the V once more. Good stop. Gareth Berg with a diving stop at shortish extra cover.
Not bad for 39, was it?
No.
Remember doing that when I was 39.
No,
a couple of years ago.
I didn't do that at 29. Sanderson round the wicket to Dent. Just change of angle here. In the second over, Gloucestershire having been put in, and Dent's got that past Wakely at short mid wicket. They'll take 2. There should be 3 there. And it's a long boundary out there on the scoreboard side of the ground, and Dent scuttles back for a 3rd run, even though they've gone to the bowler's end. It's a long boundary out there today, and Gloucestershire up to 5 for 1. Dent's taken 2 half centuries off Worcestershire in this competition this season. In fact, he's taken 4 half centuries off Worcestershire all told. He took 2 off them in the Bob Willis Trophy, and then 2 more in the 2 T20 games. But here today, Gloucestershire have lost Dent's opening partner Miles Hammond in the first over, and Ian Cobain's out to bat at number 3. He was in belligerent form at Edgbaston, but different scenario here today. And Wakely back in at slip for Cobain. He's clipped that towards mid-on, but it's dropping short, and in the end it's wide enough of the fielder there that he can comfortably pick up a single. Doesn't really sound as if the timing's quite there yet, Ben.
No, it doesn't, no. One thing Sanderson's done very, very well this over so far, and he does it in all cricket, and what I've seen is he bowls a very good length into the pitch, hard for the batsman to get underneath or over the top and hit straight.
So no slip now for Dent as Sanderson comes round the wicket, and that's worked away behind square by Dent. The applause comes from David Ripley and Chris Liddle to our right. And Dent will keep the strike at the end of the over. There'll be some knowledge, of course, of these Gloucestershire batters, with Chris Liddle having been on the staff at Bristol for how many years? 4, I think. Yeah. Before coming here.
Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of rotation of coaches like that through some of these teams. It just adds that extra bit of knowledge to the new side, but it's so much of an analysis is done now all over the world, and you can get your hands on statistics and information on players, and obviously we watch them on TV as well, that you can get to find that out yourself quite a lot nowadays.
7 for 1 off 2.
Josh Cobb in again, start the 3rd over, bowls round the wicket to Dent, who plays it on the onside, fielded at square leg by Richard Levy, and there's no run. Let me tell you, no one is keener on the stats than Josh Cobb. He spends a huge amount of time poring over the facts and figures as he bowls that ball to Chris Dent, who drives up to long off. Alex Wakely comes in off the boundary, and he picks up a single. 1 more to Dent, who goes to 6, and Gloucestershire up to 8 for 1 in the 3rd over. If you're listening to us on BBC Radio Northampton DAB, if you want to listen to Wayne Babin, you need to retune to FM. You've got cricket on DAB this afternoon, and Wayne as normal on BBC Radio Northampton FM 103.6, 104.2 as Cobb bowls, and it's a sweep by Cobain, and he's going to get a boundary. He's going to get 4 runs as it goes over the boundary rope on the first bounce, just behind square on the onside. So 4 to Cobain, who goes up to 6, and Gloucestershire to 12 for 1, having lost the wicket of Miles Hammond in that first over, caught by Tom Sole at deep mid wicket off Josh Cobb without scoring. Tactic has tended to be for Northamptonshire so far this season to perhaps have the first 4 bowlers all bowled by different bowlers, 4 overs bowled by different bowlers, but Cobb giving himself another one here, and he concedes a single as Cobain clips that away out to the deep mid wicket boundary. So 1 more to Cobain, 7 to him, 13 for 1. And the field changing round for the left-handed Dent. Overcast afternoon here at Wantage Road, but forecast is fine for the rest of the day. And a single there to Dent as he plays that one this time out to Tom Sole, fielding in front of the west stand, just in from the boundary at mid-wicket. So 1 more to Dent, who's 7, as is Ian Cobain, 14 for 1. In the 3rd over, Gloucestershire after being put into bat. And Cobb in again, bowls, and Cobain looking to drive over mid-off, gets a sort of slice thick outside edge. It runs down towards deep backward point, It drops safe and they pick up 3 runs, so not entirely as Cobain intended, but a profitable stroke nevertheless. 10 to him, 7 to Chris Dent, 3 overs gone, and Gloucestershire 17 for 1.
Yeah, it looks like a Cobb again to the left-hander there has bowled 2 lengths either flatter into the pitch or has gone very full to get underneath the bat of Dent. To the right-hander Cobain probably didn't hit the same successful areas, gave him just a little bit of length to work with some width. Cobain got himself outside off stump for that sweep, but the same line he's looked to hit him over mid-off like you said, Radders, and not quite got it. The blade control to keep the ball straight, it's spliced over that backward point area, but nonetheless good start really for Northamptonshire. I think they'll be happy with that.
Looks like Gareth Berg is going to bowl the 4th over from the far end from our commentary position, the Wilson end. Ben Smith with us this afternoon on BBC Northampton, also of course on the BBC Sport website as well. Ball by ball commentary on what is round 6 of the group stages of the T20. Washington standing up to Gareth Berg. Come in from the far end, and Cobain tries to whip that away on the leg side, but it's given as a wide. Umpire at the far end is Rob White. Nick Cook, former Northants slow left arm spinner, is standing at square leg. Short third man, backward point, extra cover mid off for Berg. And Cobain whips that into the gap on the onside. There'll only be 1 there. It goes straight to the fielder at deep square. Tom Souls out there. He had the catch to get rid of Miles Hammond and didn't have to move very far to take it either. So a change now with Berg going round the wickets to Denting, and Rossington just making sure he's got Soul where he wants him, which is just inside the circle, that backward point. Berg round the wicket. Dent tries to cut and cuts hard for 4. Split the fielders. There was a man just in front of square and Soul just behind it, but that's one of Dent's favourite scoring areas, Ben. Yeah,
I would have thought any left-hander now. I know Berg's tried to create an angle by coming around the wicket, but he's still giving him some width, and with a field when all the offside are up, bit of a freebie that one.
23 for 1 in the 4th over. Berg again to Dent, who goes down the ground this time. He should get a single, but he won't get any more than that. There's a half stop at mid-off, but no chance of a second run on the fumble, so to speak.
I think that to the left-hander there, Berg is obviously looking to tuck him up, go over middle and leg. Dent's thinking will be boundary through the offside, and to get anything on it into the leg side with all those 3 fielders out. Can we get 2?
Cobain on 11, facing Berg. He's pulled that hard to mid-wicket. Will he get 4? No, it's a good stop. Good work from Soul coming round on the boundary. They'll come back for a second run. That's probably the slightly longer square boundary on the ground today, but it was a good return and just a scamper through for Cobain for a couple. He's on to 13, 26 for 1. We're in the 4th over. And Berg, again, Cobain gives himself room. That was an ugly hoik, really, up to mid-on. He'll get 1 for it.
Looked like a slow ball, I think. Berg's run in, hiding the ball, trying to disguise what he's going to bowl. It wouldn't surprise me from start of his spell here. He's going to look to mix the pace up, pace off, and then probably a bit of pace on to deceive the batsman. He's
pretty experienced in T20 terms, indeed all terms actually. And Dent works that delivery out to Graham White, almost on the deep square leg boundary on the scoreboard side of the ground. End of Berg's first over. It's cost 11, and Gloucestershire 28 for 1 off 4. They've recovered it really quite well from the loss of Hammond in the first over. Cobain has 14 and Dent has 13.
Yeah. Looks like Nathan Buck's going to come on from this end as well now, so to take over from Cobb. There might be a little bit more pace when it is pace on from Buck. He's had a good start to this campaign as well. He's picked up vital wickets, I think, so far through the Vitality Blast, so I'm sure Josh Cobb will be looking for Buck to come on here and try and take 1 more wicket during this power play.
Nathan Buck will also tell you, if you ask him, of course, that he scored useful runs as well, not least in the game here against Birmingham Bears, when him and Graham White managed to take 16 off the last over, which was fairly crucial. Buck in again, bowls to Dent. Is he going to clear mid-off? He does just. Alex Wakely having to try and make ground away, and it runs away to the boundary. Wakely having to make ground away to his right. It was one of those, there's a question of whether it was quite going to carry, and he tried to stop it rather than catch it, and in the end he did neither, and it went for 4. So
didn't quite narrow the angle, did
no,
he?
he didn't. It was
ran a bit flat.
It was one of those where you're never quite sure as a fielder whether to stick or twist, to come in or stay back. And you say in the end he was caught a little bit between two stools. 4 to Dent, goes to 17, 32 for 1. The helicopter passes over the ground, but comes in, bowls. That's a better ball outside the off stump, and that beats Dent. Beats his defensive stroke, and it goes through to Adam Rossington. And there's no run. Took a little bit of pace off that, Ben, I think.
Maybe, yeah. It does look. Actually, I'm trying to gauge what this pitch is playing like over these first few overs. It does look as though it's a fairly, sort of easy pace pitch with no demons in there at all. So, pace on and off. They'll mix it up a little bit's the way forward.
He's got deep square and third man as his two boundary riders as Buck bowls short, and Dent tries to cut. Doesn't make contact, goes through to Adam Rossington. There's no run. Interesting point Ian was making about Northamptonshire spin options. Of course, in the game against Worcestershire, which was the first game they actually played in this competition, as opposed to the washout down at Bristol, they used 4 spinners.
Yeah.
They had 15 of the 20 overs that were bowled by spinners.
I remember listening to that game.
Yes,
online, and obviously Sterling went a bit bonkers with the bat.
It was entertaining stuff. There's Buck running away from us, and this pavilion end bowls, and it's straight on the leg stump, and that's meat and drink to Chris Dent, who just works that one away off his hip and picks up 4 runs with fine leg in the circle, and that was a little bit of a gift, and Chris Dent took full advantage. 21 to him, 36 for 1.
Looks like Buck's approach is to hit the pitch hard back of a length, and with that, he's up until that ball there, he's bowled a very good line. You're going to have to bowl straight if you're going to bowl back of a length, especially with this offside field with all the fielders up to Dent.
Yeah, it was just his line that let him down there, with, as I say, fine leg in the circle. And Buck in again, bowls to Dent, bowls a full toss, and he's paddled that one away over the man at the man at fine leg in the circle, and picks up 4 more.
Called as a no ball,
and it was called as a no ball for being probably around about chest height.
Yeah, attempted slow ball, wasn't it?
And so Nick Cook indicates that is a free hit. 42 for 1, and this is turning into quite a profitable over for Gloucestershire and for Chris Dent, who's 25. 42 for 1, and Buck in again to bowl with a free hit, and Dent cracks that away just behind square on the onside, pulls it down to the fielder Tom Sole down there on the fence, and he gets just a single. He goes up to 26. 43 for 1, and Buck now changing his field around for the right-handed Cobain. This time he's got a backward point, cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and fine leg and that sort of 45-degree angle. There the fielders in the circle, and he's got a third man, fairly square, and deep square on the boundary. Those are the 2 boundary riders. As Buck comes in, bowls to the right-handed Cobain, and Cobain drives handsomely, but only as far as extra cover, where it's fielded by Gareth Berg. End of the over. 15 runs coming off it. Cobain 14, Dent 26, and Gloucestershire 5 gone are 43 for 1.
Yeah, I think probably 8 of those runs, 6 to 8 of those runs at least, were probably just through lack of the ability to execute the ball. The plans look really good, actually. The fields that are set, the energy in the field's been good by these Northamptonshire fielders. Just 1 or 2 occasions there, and in that over from Nathan, but just didn't quite execute the ball correctly. And as you say, somebody of Chris Dent's quality isn't going to let you get away with full tosses and long hops.
So last over of the power play. And Dent goes down the ground this time, and it's a 1 bounce 4. I think just dropping short. So the umpire is asking whether it's gone over the rope, and it has gone all the way for 6. Yeah. Ben Sanderson has switched ends, and Dent's greeted him with a cleanly hit straight 6 down the ground towards the indoor school, and it's just cleared the rope.
It was a lovely shot, wasn't it? It was just, I think the length was very good, but it was just slightly wider of off stump. And Chris Dent's opened himself up, cleared his front leg, and hit it back beautifully, straight back over the bowler's head. I think again, if it had been slightly straighter, he wouldn't have played that shot.
Mid on and mid off, still on the edge of the circle. Sanderson round the wicket to Dent, who pulls, and that will be 4 more. There's a big gap behind square on the leg side, with Levy up at short fine leg. There is a deep backward square, but nothing that Graham White could do about that.
This doesn't look the right angle to me. It looks, if he came over the wicket, even with the field up on the offside, and kept it tight into Dent, at least it would make him take a risk to try and hit the ball off the stumps.
Well, Dent hadn't played in this tournament for 4 years until the start of this season. But he's come back in and seems to be really enjoying himself. That's 4 more, cracked away this time through the offside. Nothing Sol could do. Again, it was to his right, almost absolutely perpendicular with Dent's batting position, but right past Nick Cook, and 4 more. So a 6 and 2 boundaries in this over. Gloucestershire 57 for 1 in the 6th. Andrew might know better than me how this compares to the other side's power plays here this year.
Just looking at that, in the Somerset match, 44 for 2, Northamptonshire batting first, and 54 for 1, Somerset chasing.
Sanderson in again. Dent clips that off his pads right straight to Graham White, this time at deep square. So they've got just a single. He's the boundary rider on that side.
And then in the match against the Bears here, Northamptonshire made 66 for 2 in their power play, batting first, and the Bears were well off the pace, 29 for 3.
So 66 for 2 ended up with how many?
66 for 2 ended up with 158 for 7, lost the way in the middle overs.
Okay. Cobain's only on 14. Dent's gone for 41 in a real hurry, and Cobain's gone down the ground, and that's going to be at least 4 more. It may have gone all the way as well, and it has. Again, just bouncing over the rope, and one of the retrievers of the ball has just got it from the wrong side of the fence. But again, that's gone to long on, and Cobain's used to hitting down the ground at Bristol to some effect, and he's done it again here. This is a big over for Gloucestershire. They've got 21 off it already.
Yeah. Sanderson, the brilliant length he bowled in that first over, he's tried to bowl that again this over and hasn't succeeded yet.
Cobain on 20 and got that rod off the bottom of the bat. He might want 2 here because there's a long chase for the fielders on the deep mid-wicket boundary and at long off, and Cobain can comfortably come back for a couple. But Gloucestershire have gone from 43 to 66, I think that will go up to.
Yes, 66.
23 off the over, and Dent has 41 of those 66, and Cobain has 22.
Yeah, smart batting by the Gloucestershire pair there. Especially Dent at the start of that over. They've identified Sanderson bowled a very good length back of the length into the pitch in his first over. He's come back and bowled pretty much the same, but they've adapted. It looked like they may have sat deeper in the crease, just to let the ball sit up a little bit more. It is an easy pace pitch, and it has done that, so it looks a good pitch, and maybe that's a decent power play for Gloucester. They've got the runs on the board, but it could be an average one at this stage. So
that equals the best power play at this ground so far this season. Graham White coming into the attack, who's been one of Northampton's standout players in the competition so far, bowling his left arm spin over the wicket to the left-handed Dent, who drives up to the man coming in, Tom Sol, off the cover boundary, sweeping on the fence there, sends in his return quick to the ball. Tom Sol, excellent fielder. Nice to see him back in the side. Played in the first game at Worcester, but hasn't played since. But 1 more to Chris Dent, who's 42, 67 for 1. Graham White, 33 years old, just plays white ball cricket these days. He's bowled and batted well for Northamptonshire in the tournament so far this season, bowling round the wicket to the right-handed Cobain, who goes for the reverse paddle. It goes down towards the boundary at backward point, and he's going to pick up 2 runs as it's fielded by Ben Sanderson, just coming in off the rope in front of the west stand. So 2 to Cobain, 24 to him, 69 for 1. White, the second of Northamptonshire's 3 spin options in this particular side. No safe save today, of course. White bowling round the wicket to Cobain, who looks to late cut that and dabs it down towards the third man boundary. It's chased back, and they pick up a couple, chased back down towards the indoor centre. 2 more runs to Cobain. Busy start by Gloucestershire after losing a wicket in the first over. He's 26, 71 for 1. And White, having conceded 5 runs off his first 3 deliveries. His boundary riders both got the 2 men out there on the leg side, as Cobain once again goes for the reverse sweep. This time just gets a single, as it's fielded just on the edge of the square there by Nathan Buck, who immediately retreats for the left-hander back towards backward square. 27 to Cobain, 72 for 1. White in again from this pavilion end, bowls to Dent, who picks up a single as Nathan Buck straight back into the action, comes in off the boundary field, sends his return in on the bounce. 1 more run to Dent, 43 to him, 73 for 1. White having the advantage of whipping through his overs very quickly. He's got a backward point, a point, an extra cover, and a fine leg in the circle as Cobain comes down the pitch to him, makes ground, plays it out to deep mid-wicket, but Tom Sowell again very quick in off the boundary and keeps them to a single. So just 8 off that over, a mere 8. 28 to Cobain, 43 to Dent, and Gloucestershire with 7 overs gone, a 74 for 1.
Yeah, it was a good over from White. He didn't bowl. He mixed it up nicely. It looks as though he's just holding his action slightly to try and guess on the batsman, see what movement he's making at the crease. But again, the Gloucestershire batters look very busy, and on this big outfield, that's how they're going to play these middle overs now. If they can pick up 8 and over now for the next few overs without taking too many big risks, I'm sure that's what they'll do. It'll only be a matter of time until one of them potentially tries to pick a bowler and fancies taking a bowler down, but at this stage, coming out of the power play and having an 8 over 7, they'll be quite happy with that, I think.
BBC Northampton on DAB this afternoon, also on the BBC Sport website as well. Overcast Wantage Road, but at the end of a pretty dry week, certainly where I live anyway. And after that, the last over from Sanderson, which was, well, calamitous from a Northants scoreboard point of view. Unsurprisingly, he's been taken out of the attack, 2 overs for 28. And Berg is coming back from the far end. When Rossington standing up. Yeah. And Cobain on strike to him. Worked away up to wide, long on. They're going to go for the second. The answer to that is no. And Northants got their throw in quickly. I mean, it is a very central pitch, Ben, isn't it? I mean, there could be a lot of threes out there today. Yeah, there could be. I think, not to a fielder like that, Tom Sowell, he's rapid to the ball. He's got a very quick arm. It's like a side throw, an underarm side throw, but it's very, very flat. You probably wouldn't want to be taking him on today. Dent has 43 out of 75 for 1. We're in the 8th over, and Berg to him, and that's clipped away, and that will be a maximum for Chris Dent. He's timed that really well. That's probably the shortest of the boundaries, if there is a short one, and it was just in the right place for him to flick it away. It actually landed on the roof of the old scoreboard and bounced into the garden, so I suspect it's the last they'll see of that ball this afternoon. Yeah, he timed that beautifully, didn't he? It just came into the stumps, very full, helped it on its way over backward square leg. It did look, Sanderson's last over didn't look as though he'd really got any answers. It looked as though he was prepared to try and still rely on just hitting a good line and length, which these two batters, like I said earlier, had actually adjusted to. Berg, however, he looks as though he's quite prepared now to bowl 6 different deliveries in the over, which he is disguising the ball as he runs up to bowl it. Although you've still got to execute the delivery in some sort of fashion. And actually, just you mentioned about disguising and bowling 6 different deliveries. Benny Howell, for Gloucestershire supporters listening, is actually here today. He was doing a little bit of very gentle bowling. Obviously hasn't played any first team cricket at all this season. Not missing anything, by the way, because they've umpires had to go and get another ball. after that injury at the Oval in a T20 game towards the end of last season, where, to use Howell's words, I tore my hamstring off the bone.
Oh dear.
That's why he hasn't played for a long time. And Gloucester have got themselves into this position, arguably without their crackerjack bowler, you might argue.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dent on 49, Berg to bowl to him, and there's the half century for Chris Dent. He's worked it down to long on, he'll only pick up a single, but it's, I think, a 26 ball.
It is 26 ball 50.
50 for Chris Dent, with 2 sixes and 6 fours.
A hell of a strike rate.
So he's rattling along, and Gloucestershire 82 for 1. Berg has a long on and long off out now to Cobain. That's a flat swat away on the offside. It's going to beat the man at long off, and that's gone for 4 more. And Gloucestershire are clubbing their way up the scoring rate at the moment. Again, it wasn't a very aesthetic shot, but it was very effective.
Yeah, he gave himself a lot of room, didn't he, to open up a straight ball to hit it over that extra cover area. 33
to Cobain now. Berg to him, and that's handed a bit cleaner through the bat, and that's gone for 4 more. Away between cow corner to club players and wide long on. Do professionals, Andrew, call it cow corner? No, actually, Ben, do professionals call it cow corner?
Yeah, you still call it cow.
You
hit towards cow.
4 more to Cobain, 37.
Universal language.
Not that you ever did, Ben, of course.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
90 for 1. Berg in, and Cobain tries to hit that over the indoor school, misses, and it goes between him and the leg stump, and it's taken by Rossington. So Berg might feel he could have got a bit more profit out of that, but again for Gloucestershire, a big over 16 off it, and 90 for 1. Dent has 50 and Cobain has 37.
Yeah, it does look like sort of trying to get used to how this pitch is playing and what the Northamptonshire bowlers are looking to do. It does look as though it's probably a pitch where there has to be quite a big difference between the paces when you change up. So you've either got to hit the wicket hard, or you've got to go a lot slower with your slower balls. If it's just a bit of pace off, it looks like it's sitting in the pitch. If it's hitting back of a length and easy to get hold of.
Graham White coming in to start his second over, bowling over the wicket to the left-handed Dent, who paddles that away towards deep mid-wicket, and he's caught. It's a good running catch out on the boundary, and Chris Dent's terrific knock for Gloucestershire is over. He's been caught on the deep mid-wicket boundary by Ben Sanderson, who had to make a little bit of ground, took the catch well, and Graham White strikes, and Northamptonshire will be relieved at that wicket. Chris Dent out for 50 off just 27 balls, and Gloucestershire at the start of the 9th over a 90 for 1.
Yeah, it's that area again, isn't it? Pretty much the same sort of area. Just pick the fielder out in the deep. Very good running catch, like you say. Radder's in there. I don't think that Dent will be particularly happy with that, how he's picked the fielder out, but he's played brilliantly there. He's got Gloucestershire off to a start that they could only have dreamt for, and I think now it's the sort of foundation's been set. So again, it's about trying to form a partnership for the Gloucester team and spend the next 5 overs keeping the pressure on this Northamptonshire outfit. Northants now will see a line in, maybe 2 wickets together. If they can get 2 new batters in at the crease, this will be their chance to put the pressure back on the Gloucestershire team.
Well, that partnership worth 90 coming together without a run on the board when Miles Hammond was out, and now Ryan Higgins comes to the crease, but he's not facing at the moment because it's going to be Ian Cobain, the batsman, having crossed as White bowls to Cobain, who plays that up to short mid-wicket. It's fielded by Josh Cobb. Another dot ball, 90 for 2. Gloucestershire having lost Hammond for 0 and Dent for 50. And Whitean running away from us, bowls short, just tries to kill that in the pitch, but it's a good shot by Cobain, who's paddled that one away towards wide long on, and an excellent bit of fielding on the boundary. I thought that was going for 4 down below us, but it was clawed back right on the fence, and they keep to 2. So Cobain up to 39, and Gloucestershire up to 92 for 2. Another helicopter flying over. Busy afternoon. White in again, bowls to Cobain, who tries the reverse sweep, and there's an appeal for a catch as it looped to the keeper off something, but off pad, says umpire Nick Cook. Not a particularly wholehearted appeal from the bowler. Keeper was quite interested, but it just looped up off the pad. Good take by Rossington, but came to nothing.
Covered a lot of ground,
He
didn't
did, yeah. Back in the side today. 92 for 2. White in again, bowls, and Cobain picks up an easy single as he just plays that down behind square on the onside. Paul Sterling comes in off the boundary in front of what used to be the old bowling green. One more to Cobain, 40 to him, 93 for 2. Much better over for Northamptonshire this. 3 off it so far, 1 ball to go. And now Ryan Higgins is going to face his first ball, with White still bowling round the wicket to him, and he edges that just past the keeper. He's running down towards the third man boundary, and he may well pick up 4, and he does. So he's off the mark with an edge for 4. Graham White looking somewhat exasperated, but still a decent over. But Higgins is away with a boundary, and at the end of 9, Gloucestershire are 97 for 2, 7 off that one.
Yeah, got White's over, another good over there from him. He's hit the areas, he mixed his pace up a little bit. He has got one eye on the batter's foot movement, so he's adjusting to the movements of what the batter looks to try and do. It'll be interesting to see how Cobain plays now the next few overs. This has always for me been a fascinating part of T20 cricket from a batting group, how when you lose your partner after a big partnership, how you play. Do you go in your shell a little bit and spend some time getting the next batsman in, or are you concerned about losing your own wicket, so there's 2 new batters at the crease, or do you just keep playing aggressively like he has done now?
Well, Luke Proctor, I think, who we will credit for that stop in the last over on the boundary, is coming in to bowl for the first time from the far end. And Ian Cobain, I think, is going to be out straight away. In fact, it's Cobain who's gone. He's caught at deep mid-wicket.
Tom Sole again.
Proctor's first ball, and he will be annoyed. Looks at the bottom of his bat. It didn't sound too bad when he hit it, but that's the longer boundary on that side of the ground. And Gloucestershire's 2 accelerators after the early loss of Hammond have gone in quick succession. It's 97 for 3.
Yeah, I think that big over that Cobain and Dent had earlier, I was about to say how well they hit the gap. It looked as though they were really hitting the ball hard into pockets, and if they weren't going to get 4 or 6, they'd get 2. Since the power play, obviously more fielders back, but they've now just picked the field out, Gloucestershire. I think if they're not careful here, they're trying to hit maximums to big boundaries where there are some field and protection, rather than maybe looking for the 4 instead of the 6. And if it isn't going for 4, then they can pick up their 2s, because they look like there can be whippets between the wickets, this young side.
Well, Cobain was caught, as Andrew said, by Tom Sole, and James Bracey, the left-hander's come in at number 5. So he and Ryan Higgins have by and large had smaller roles, cameo roles down the order for Gloucestershire in this competition. Bracey got an unbeaten 39 against Worcestershire, but here they are together, now needing to just rebuild a little bit. 97 for 3 is not a bad position at halfway.
But there's 2 new batters in now, though, isn't there? There's only 1 ball between them, coming in there. So I was saying earlier, this partnership now will be a huge partnership for Gloucester, but just equally as big for the stage of the game we're in for Northamptonshire. Can they, with 2 new batters in, use this opportunity to squeeze them and not let them get any boundaries away?
Lots of discussion about the field at the moment. The ball, the batsman crossed while the ball was in the air when Cobain was out, so Higgins took a single off the last delivery, and now James Bracey's facing for the first time. 98 for 3 in the 10th. Proctor round the wicket to bowl to, and Bracey gets that into the ground and bounces it past the man at point, who is Gareth Berg, and away to the boundary rider on the offside. So you only pick up 1. 99 for 3. This is the 10th over, and Graham White at this end has bowled 2 overs for 15, so he's been as economical as anybody. Here's Proctor into Higgins, and just gets his bat around his front pad and plays it to short mid-wicket where there is no chance of a single.
I think especially at this stage of the innings with the overs remaining, if you're a bowler coming on to bowl, this is actually an ideal time to bowl, because you've got 2 new batters in and you feel a little bit less under pressure. You can get into your work a bit easier. Levy's
coming up to short third man inside the circle. As Proctor to Higgins, who's punched that up towards long off. They'll want 2, and Bracey's on the scuttle back, and he's run his bat in as all good players should do to make sure he's got every chance of getting back for the second, which he does. But there is a lot of ground to be made. I had it on that far side of the ground to the leg side for the right-hander.
Would you say that's the longest boundary?
Oh yeah. That's the biggest pocket, as you might call it. Proctor in again, and Higgins drives. That's straighter up to long off though for the right-hander, and he'll only pick up a single. Gloucester up into 3 figures though, and at halfway, well, that Cobain and Dent have given them a good base. Both are now out though. Cobain for 40 and Dent for 50. It's 102 for 3 at halfway, and Bracey and Higgins are together. Higgins has 8 and Bracey has 1. Yeah,
Proctor's really started off nicely there, hasn't he? Ideal time for him to come on and bowl against 2 new batters, as it were. But I'd say now Cobb's coming back in. He'll look to probably try and turn the screw, and will they look to go I'm sure they'll give Proctor another over after that start, but they might look to go a bit more spin now as well, and maybe bring Tom Sole in after Cobb.
Cobb, as you say, starting his 3rd over, and bowls to Higgins, who sweeps. He's going to get a single as it goes out to Tom Sole on the deep mid-wicket boundary. 1 more to Higgins, who goes to 9, and Gloucestershire to 103 for 3. Yeah, Luke Proctor must think this T20 cricket's easy. It's the first time he's played in a competition this season. Took a wicket with his first ball, so he'll be looking to make a bit of a point, I'm sure. As Cobb bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Bracey, who drives nicely, and I was going to say dropped. I don't think actually was a chance. I think the exasperation was that Cobb was looking to just deflect the ball onto the stumps, because he drove it straight back, Bracey, at Cobb, who was looking to just flick the ball on the stumps and run out the non-striker. In the end he didn't manage to, and they get a single. 104 for 3, and they pick up another run there with Cobb playing that into the onside. Once again Tom Sole very quick in off the boundary, so quick over the ground. 105 for 3. Higgins to 10. Tom Sole, son of David Sole, Scotland and British Lions fame, and a single there again to Bracey, who on drives, and I think Josh Cobb felt that Gareth Berg might have done a little better at mid-wicket. He didn't get a hand on it, and he finishes up going up to the fielder on the boundary, and they pick up a single. Another 106 for 3. Cobb in again, bowls, and that's a sweep by Higgins, and he picks up a boundary, but it just eludes the man out there on the deep mid-wicket boundary, bounces into the covers. So 4 to Higgins, 14 to him, 110 for 3. 1 ball to go of the 11th over. Gloucestershire having lost Hammond for 0, Dent for 50, and Cobain for 40. And Cobb in again, bowling to
Proctor, looking at the lineup now, the way the bowlers have gone, and then just back my seamers to finish like they would do. They'll go into that death mode to try and go Yorker and slower balls and bouncers. I don't know whether he'll bring back anybody else with pace on just yet.
Proctor then from the far end towards our commentary position, hit into the ground by Higgins off the back foot, but there is a man out in front of the scoreboard, Alex Wakely, who will just keep them down to a single. And Cobb, Ben, looked to be bowling absolutely gun barrel straight if he could, and just slightly back of a length.
Yeah, absolutely. Very deep square boundaries. As a bowler, you're looking to get hit square of the wicket. You've got some protection now, you're out of it. 3
out on the leg side for Higgins as Proctor comes back over the wicket, and again there's a chance of potentially 2. There's a big loud cry of no from Higgins. Wasn't interested in that because Sole was onto it quickly, and he's taken 2 catches already, and he's shown himself to be a live wire in the field. Gloucestershire were put in by Josh Cobb this afternoon. 116 for 3, and Proctor from the far end goes to Bracey, who goes down the ground straight. Has he got enough on that for it to go all the way for 4? The answer is no, but they'll get 2, and a bit of a relay between the men at long on and long off keeps Gloucestershire down to a couple.
I think you can see Higgins' role here. He's definitely playing a support role, although he's outscoring Bracey and the way he's scoring, but it does look as though the way they're shaping up, Higgins is prepared to knock the ball around, and Bracey's the one that's giving it a little bit more bottom hand. 118
for 3 again. Bracey again, bottom hand once more, up towards long on, but that's gone straight to the fielder. The weight on that prevented ever any chance of being 2. So Bracey will keep the strike. 119 for 3, 8 off the over again.
Well bowled. There was no bad balls. There's no gimmies there. The Gloucestershire batters are having to work hard for their runs. Over before that off Cobb, he got swept for 4. Higgins swept him. That was an example of like I was talking about earlier. When the field spread and the pockets along the boundaries actually become a lot smaller, I think you're probably better off on bigger boundaries trying to hit 4s, because you definitely pick up your 1s. Sometimes you'll get a 2 if you don't quite hit it right, or it's the pocket, or it's a good bit of fielding. But if you do nail it, you back yourself to nail it, you'll pick up your 4.
Left-handed Bracey facing up to Graham White, starting his 3rd over, and Bracey plays that down to backward point. Paul Sterling fields, but they pick up the easiest of singles. 1 more to Bracey. He's in double figures, 10 to him, 120 for 3. He's used 6 bowlers so far: Cobb, Sanderson, Berg, Buck, White and Proctor. Still has Paul Sterling possibly, who's bowled in a couple of the games, bowled his off spin. Actually used 8 bowlers in the last game against Glamorgan at Edgbaston. Let's come back to that in a second, as White bowls round the wicket to the right-handed Higgins, who sweeps. And once again, it's Paul Sterling in the action, running round from deep backward square, and he picks up a single.
Soul bowling, sorry, lads.
No, he's not. I don't think he's probably going to be figuring. I think he's playing as a batsman.
Right, that was me thinking he was playing as a bowling all round.
121 for 3 as White comes in and bowls, and Bracey going for the reverse sweep. It's running out towards the boundary, and I think he's going to pick up 4, and he does, and it crosses the boundary rope in front of the White seat. So it's a boundary to Bracey, who goes up to 14, 125 for 3. Yes, I think he's really only got his 7 bowlers today. But talking to Josh Cobb after that game at Edgbaston, and I said, 8 bowlers, it's plenty of options. In a sense, makes life slightly complicated for the captain. And he said, it is a lot of options, a lot of thinking. There's White in again, bowling over the wicket to the left-handed Bracey, who swings up on the onside. Has he got enough of it? I don't think he has. He's going to be caught, and he is caught eventually. Oh my goodness, Ben Sanderson takes the catch, and Bracey is out, but he looked for all the world as though he juggled it. It looked to bounce out of his hands, and he took it then with his right hand as it dropped towards the turf.
Yeah, it looked like it bounced out, hit him on the chest, then under the chin, and then he caught it one-handed on the way out.
Yes, it was the sort of thing you might see in a club match. But as it was, he hung on to it, and Bracey goes for 14. It's another wicket for Graham White, second one for him, and Gloucestershire 125 for 4 in the 13th over.
Yeah, and you can see now there's a bit of a trend, hasn't there, into the wind on that side of the ground. Biggest boundary, 4 deep on the boundary edge catches. Again, maybe that tactic isn't quite the one that they should have been using, the Gloucestershire batsmen. Could they have targeted the other side if they were going aerial for this, to hit the ball for 6? Looking for 4s maybe to the bigger boundary. I think that's probably the way I would have gone on this ground, with the boundaries being as big as they are.
Yes, they're playing more or less central of the square for this one, and the boundaries are out almost to the boundary, to the extent of the playing area on the west side of the ground. On the east side it's in by probably about 10 yards, but decent sized boundaries for this game. Jack Taylor's in, but it's going to be Ryan Higgins facing that delivery as the batsman crossed, and he dabs it down on the onside just behind square and picks up another single. 1 more to him. He goes to 19, 126 for 4. 7 off the over so far, but a wicket for Graham White. 1 ball to go in this, the 13th over. Gloucestershire put into bat. Jack Taylor's about to face his first ball with a slip going in as White bowls to him, and he plays that defensively back down the pitch. White fields end of the over. Jack Taylor still to get off the mark. Higgins is 19, and Gloucestershire with 13 overs gone are 126 for 4.
Yeah, credit to the Northants spinners. They've not been hit down the ground yet, so it shows what length they're bowling here, and they're bowling to the big boundaries, and they're bowling to the fields they've been set. Any opportunity that Gloucestershire can cash in and hit square of the wicket, they've done well. In that power play, obviously opened up a few more areas for them to score once they got it past the infield. However, I'd say it's pretty much 50-50, because that Dent, with Dent and who was the opening, and Cobain partnership put them in a brilliant position here.
Well, Nathan Buck's back in the attack for the 14th over. Bowls to Higgins, and he'll get a single up to mid-off. And he will bring Jack Taylor on to strike. So 127 for 4. Andrew was talking about kind of par scores here on this ground, and the feeling is that sort of north of 160 you're definitely in the game.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So Gloucestershire have still got 6 overs and 5 balls to go. They're 127 for 4. George Scott, Graham Van Buren still to come.
And that said, in the game against the Bears, Northampton he made 158 for 4, which we thought was below par, and it turned out to be plenty.
Well, Buck then to Taylor for the first time, and that's played just a short extra cover for a single. Alex Wakely's in there. Nothing. Sorry, not for a single. That was easy, saving the single there, as you were. Proctor 2 overs for 13 and a wicket. So he's done all he could have been asked to do. And it's all right-handers for Gloucestershire from here in terms of their batting. Buck to Taylor again. He'll get probably 1 here. There's a fielder coming in from the boundary at long on, but they won't get any more than the single. Graham White's out there. And a bit of chat between these two Gloucestershire batsmen about how they're going to play these next 2 or 3 overs. They'd like to get themselves into a position where they can really attack the last 3 without any further loss.
Yes, correct. I think that's key.
So he's saving a single to Buck on the offside, and Higgins gets that right on the bottom of the bat, and they're going to try and get a sharp single here. And the throw from Gareth Berg, there was nobody by the stumps, but it was so short of the stumps when it was always going to bounce over the top, and it was well backed up, but there was quite an easy single in the end for Gloucestershire out of it. 129 for 4. Dent with 50 and Hammond with 40, the 2 main contributors so far. Hammond out in the first over, and James Bracey, the last man out, having got himself in. And Taylor works that off round his pad from a straight ball from Nathan Buck, but again it's only a single. And Northampton will be, if a side is ever content to concede singles, they will be content to concede singles at this point.
I think so, yeah. If you were going at, I think if they go at 7 or 8 and over now, I think damage limitation through to the end, they'd be happy. Buck again to Higgins, who thought about going down the ground with that, but he's got that away, and he's split the fielders on the leg side. It's gone for 4. He really looked to wind himself up with that, as if that was going to go down towards long off, but he got it much squarer than that in the end. And there was about a 15-metre gap between the 2 men on the boundary on the leg side, and he just about split them. So a good finish to the over from a Gloucestershire perspective. 134 for 4, 8 off it, and there are 6 overs to go. Higgins has 23 and Jack Taylor has 2. Higgins has really impressed me this afternoon. You know, he's been really smart. I know I'm backing up with what I've said about maybe looking to hit boundaries along the ground for 4s, and that's exactly what he's done with these big boundaries to smaller pockets. He's hit the ball so hard along the ground, he's probably made up for not trying to hit 6s and getting out caught on the boundary.
Graham White coming in for his 4th and final over, bowling to Jack Taylor, who dabs that down for a single, just runs it down towards 3rd man, and it's intercepted by Nathan Buck coming round from backward point, and they pick up a single. Taylor to 3, 135 for 4. I was just wondering, Ben, as we wait for Graham White to bowl this next delivery, I'll just come back to it after this, because he does whip through his overs. White bowling round the wicket to Higgins, who looks to try and run that away, taking his mark from the previous delivery, and he misses, and it's taken by Adam Rossington, who whips the bails off, appeals for a stumping, but given not out. That foot didn't look to have moved. Just wondering what Northampton's fielding coach, who's sitting down in front of us, would have made of Ben Sanderson's effort there if he'd actually dropped it. As White comes in once again, bowls, and it's a good sweep, but he's going to pick out the fielder, and he's caught by Paul Sterling. He got plenty on it, and it went down towards deep backward square, but Paul Sterling had to make a little bit of ground over to his left, and he moved to the ball well, took it above his head. It's another good catch. It's a 3rd wicket for Graham White, and Gloucestershire just losing impetus a little bit in the 15th over, 135 for 5.
Yeah, again, just that boundary ride. I don't know, look, the nature of this sport, nature of the game, means, and the format means that you need to hit the ball in the air. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say you've got to hit everything along the ground, but he was playing such a good role there, Higgins, by piercing the field, picking his gaps, hitting the ball really hard out towards the sweepers. When it did miss a sweeper, it went for 4. If it didn't, the sweepers are so far back because he hits the ball so hard, he was getting 2 for it. He's rapid between the wickets. Again, then he's just hit that in between, not either getting under it or over it. And basically sort of like skimmed the ball with that sweep shot straight to the backward square leg boundary rider.
So Ryan Higgins goes at 135 for 5. He made 25, and he's replaced at the crease by George Scott. And Graham White has now picked up 3 wickets for 22.
Yeah, he's bowled really well here, isn't he?
We were talking actually before the game started about Graham White's confidence levels at the moment,
yeah,
and he really does feel that he's into this tournament. As White comes in again, bowls to the new batsman Scott, who looks for a single. He's dabbing up to mid-wicket, and it's well fielded, sharply fielded by the Northamptonshire captain Josh Cobb. He's sent back, and wisely I think, by Jack Taylor. I don't think there was a single there. Slip in, just to put a little bit of pressure on the new batsman. As White comes in again, round the wicket, bowls to Scott, who is off the mark this time with a comfortable single, just playing it out square of the wicket on the offside. Fielded by Ben Sanderson, coming in off the boundary in front of the west stand. So Scott's away with a single, 136 for 5. With just 2 runs off this over and a wicket so far. 1 ball to go. It'll be Jack Taylor to face it. The slipper's gone. As White finishes his spell, it bowls down the leg side. A bit of a scruffy end to his spell. It's paddled away around the corner. He's lost his line, and he'll be cross with that because he's conceded 4 runs. Nice, well-controlled stroke by Taylor, but the ball was really there for the asking. Nevertheless, a decent spell by Graham White, with Taylor on 7. Scott is 1. 15 overs gone, so 5 to go, and Gloucestershire 140 for 5. 6 off that one.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely gutted, won't he? It was his last ball of his spell as well.
Scruffy finish, wasn't it?
Well, he'd bowled such a very accurate line and length to all the batters he'd bowled at. And then just to push that or drag it down the leg side, he'd be pretty disappointed with that. But nevertheless, he's bowled beautifully there, he really has. He's sort of held this innings together with the ball for Northamptonshire through that middle period. What do you think Northamptonshire will be sort of like? Happy to chase here. What do you think Gloucester will be happy to set here, Ian? Do you think 180 would be
like
Northants?
190 from here, I think.
190 for Gloucester, 180 for Northants. You think we're playing with that sort of 10-run swing?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Proctor's coming back from the far end. Graham White before today, his economy rate was 6.62. And he's taken 3 for 28 today, so it's only marginally above that, even though that boundary was hit off the last ball. So, and he's taken 3 wickets, so a big part to play.
Yeah, huge part.
Proctor from the far end bowls to George Scott, who just dabs him out on the offside, and it's fielded by Richard Levy. But there's always a chance for a single because he was deep enough there, and Scott played it with a weight that said get a single out of it.
It'll be interesting to see what Cobb does with his bowlers here, whether Proctor bowls 2 from that end and one other bowler closes out with the last over, and who he actually brings on now to take the place of White from this end.
Cobb might bowl himself.
Yeah, he
might be tempted. Proctor then to the orange-booted Jack Taylor, and tries to steer that down past short fine leg. Past that short third man, I should say, Richard Levy, but didn't get a touch taken by Rossington. Lots of chat between Levy and Rossington about the field, about whether he's got a short fine leg and a short third man for Luke Proctor. Rossington standing back now, wide of the wicket, Proctor, and Taylor hits that into the onside, pretty square with the wicket to mid-wicket. They'll only look at 1, I think, because the throw is quickly on its way, and Taylor didn't really get a good strike on that. Again, Soul has been buzzing about in the outfield. He's taken 2 catches. He's been in all the important positions where the Gloucestershire batters have been looking to score. Scott this time. Does he find a gap on the offside? No, he doesn't. But good stop from Paul Sterling. I believe he had gone back onto the rope for the right-hander, but again, Rossington just changing it up, not afraid to switch it after a dot ball. 142 for 5 in the 16th. Proctor and Scott will just take one this time. Out on the onside, Proctor does the fielding off his own bowling. Scott's not batted a lot in this tournament for Gloucestershire, just the one innings in fact. Obviously came to the club from Middlesex last winter, and within the last month Gloucester have gone down the same route to sign Tom Lace, who's not playing today. Proctor to Taylor, stands tall this time, pulls it round to the leg side, but again only one. That's a good over from Proctor.
Another good over.
Only 4 off it.
Yep.
And 144 for 5 Gloucestershire, and Northants just tightening the grip a little bit at the moment with 2 newish batsmen in. Taylor has 9, that's Jack Taylor, and George Scott has 3. 4 overs to go.
Yeah, well, it looks as though White and Proctor have been the 2 better bowlers for Northamptonshire through this period. That's going Nathan Buck from this end to replace White, but yeah, it looks as though that might be the theme now. Proctor for another over at the top end, Buck from here, and then one other to close out from the top. Just going back to Northamptonshire's fielding, it's been fantastic this afternoon. It really has. They've caught everything. They've been energetic. They've buzzed around in the ring. They've got through their overs quickly to sort of back up the spinners, and then the boundary risers have cut a lot of 2s off.
Nathan Buck starting a fresh over from this pavilion end. He bowls to Jack Taylor, who drives nicely up to mid-off, but he's just going to get a single as it's fielded by Josh Cobb, who throws at the non-striker's end. Adam Rossington finds himself having to make an awful lot of ground to back up, which he does successfully. But one more to Taylor, who goes to 10, 145 for 5. Buck, who in the last match in this competition that Northamptonshire played against Glamorgan at Edgbaston, picked up 4 for 29 from his 4 overs, and in the match before that was again outstanding with 3 overs, 2 for 15, including a double wicket maiden. As Buck comes in again and bowls this time to Scott, who plays it down towards backward point, goes for a single, and they get through okay. And I think Gareth Berg was wondering about shying at the non-striker's end because Scott was just a little bit slow setting off, but he saw that there was nobody at the stump, so if he had have thrown, there was a risk of overthrows. Yeah. So he sensibly held on to the ball. They just pick up a single, 146 for 5.
I think if
Scott to 4.
If Taylor had been short of his ground, I think Berg should have actually thrown that, because there's no way Scott would have got back for a second.
Yeah, no, true enough. Well, here's Buck with that little shuffle at the start of his run, and bowls to Jack Taylor short, and Taylor pulls but straight to the man Tom Sole on the bounce at mid-wicket, and they get just a single. Sole makes you wonder how many runs in the course of an innings he probably saves. He starts, I would have thought, most of his innings if he goes into bat plus 10 or plus 12. He really is outstanding. He's a joy to watch in the field. Yeah. 147 for 5.
We should say he's not fielding everywhere. It makes it sound like
it sounds though he is. Absolutely right. Here's George Scott facing this ball from Nathan Buck, and he's gone aerial, and it's gone down towards the boundary at backward square, and it drops just in front of the fielder. And again, it's a team effort, a couple down there, but they pick up 2 runs. Good bit of interplay between the 2 fielders in front of the white seats. Keeps it to 2, 149 for 5. Again, Buck just looking to plug that one into the pitch.
Yeah.
And Scott not getting as much of it as he would have liked. He was looking to clear the ropes, I think. It dropped probably about 15 yards in. And he gets a single. He's 6. Buck in again, bowls to him, and he's pulled that one. He's got more of that, and that is 6. That's a big hit, and that once again has landed on top of the old scoreboard, the building there that now houses the groundsman's facilities. I was going to say groundsman's hut. It's a bit more than that, and it bounced then into the trees and into one of the gardens in Wantage Road, so they won't be getting that one back, and they've already pulled another one out of the umpire's pocket. That takes Scott to 12, 155 for 5, 11 off the over so far. 1 ball to go. Gloucestershire were looking for a better over. They've had lean pickings over the last 2 or 3. But this is better for them. And Buck comes in again, bowls a Yorker, and Scott digs it out. It's well bowled.
Very
He's
well
going to get a single as it goes away on the onside, and Adam Rossington comes round to field. So end of the over with Scott on 13, Jack Taylor is 11, and Gloucestershire 1, 5, 6 for 5, 3 overs to go.
Yeah, that's the beauty of T20 cricket, isn't it? I think Buck showed the slower ball into the pitch probably one too many times, and Scott set himself for that 6 over mid-wicket, but came back with a brilliantly executed Yorker. There's a lot to be said, isn't there, for getting a good Yorker in and thinking trying to be one step ahead of the batsman, but then again the batsman has that opportunity to just be that one step ahead of the bowler as well.
So 3 overs to go. Gloucestershire have scored 54 in the last 7, or since halfway. 54 off 7, so they're running at nearly 8 and over. So 24 from here, we get them to 180. They certainly like that. Here is Sanderson in for the 18th, and Scott's got that away past Josh Cobb. They'll come back for 2, and the man at long off makes ground round to get the return in to the bowler's end.
And this is where this format's brilliant, really, because Sanderson, yes, he'd have been disappointed with that second over he bowled. However, now he's got a role to play in this team to close it out with Yorkers and slower balls.
158 for 5 in the 18th. Sanderson to Scott, who winds himself up and gets ball off probably the bottom part of the bat, truthfully, all the way up to long on. They've got 1, but Graham White's got his throw in quickly, and 1 is all it will be. Scott has 16 and Jack Taylor has 11. He's not having an awful lot of the strike though. Seeing where the men out are, almost everywhere. But this 5 out, 4 in the circle. Taylor will look for 2 here if they can. He's got that away on the onside to mid-wicket, and George Scott scampering back, and they've done really well to get 2 out of that, because Sanderson had to field that himself. Sol was right on the fence. There was nobody inside the circle on the leg side in front of square, and as soon as Taylor got bat on it, he was setting his sights on 2.
Yeah,
and that's what he got.
The art of fielding out on the boundary rope there is trying to position yourself the distance away from the batter, not the distance off the rope. So instead of just saying to yourself, right, I'll be 10, 15 off the rope, you might need to be 20, 30, 25 yards off the rope, be nearer the batter, but just be able to back yourself to get back and take a catch over your head.
Deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and deep cover, all on the boundary. And Taylor's got more on that, and that will only be 1 as a result. It's gone straight to the man at deep mid-wicket, and it will only be a single.
Credit to the batter as well, if you're trying to drop the ball to the 30-yard circle, because then there's quite often is a case where you can pick up a 2. In that case he didn't. He was trying to hit it as hard as he could, and it came off the toe of the bat.
We're in the 18th over. Sanderson bowling from the Lynn Wilson end. That's the far end from our commentary position. Comes in, and Scott goes down the ground. That'll go for 4. That's the safest place to strike that, because it was probably only a couple of metres to the right of the stumps. It's a good blow from George Scott. Gloucestershire up to 166 for 5. Scott to 20.
Yeah, it's a fine line. Yorker, you miss it, you just go that little bit full, and that's a fine shot though. A low full toss is a lot harder to hit than a length ball or a knee height full toss.
10 off the over at the moment. Sanderson to Scott once more, and again the big wind up, and it's away on the leg side, and once again David Sol's boy's been busy. That's 1 more, and in fact Jack Taylor says this is warm work out here. He's asked for George Hankins to come and take away his sweater, and Scott too. I think this is going to be a real test of their sprinting skills to try and maximise the return from the last 2 overs. 167 for 5 with 2 to go. Scott has 21 and Jack Taylor has 14.
Yeah, Sanderson looked like he went pretty much Yorker every ball, which is great if you can hit that Yorker time after time, and he's obviously got a lot of confidence in doing that. Just makes me wonder whether, as a batsman, though, if you know that's going to be the case, there's not a great deal of change in the field placings. It doesn't keep you guessing as much as the bowler's running in. So you'd set yourself for the Yorker, be prepared for it, and you'd have a bit more of a heads up, rather than if Sanderson had got an answer or something slightly different now and again to a Yorker, you would keep the batsman guessing.
Nathan Buck starting the 19th over and bowling over the wicket. He's bowled George Scott, who was aiming for a big wahoo over in the general direction of deep mid-wicket. Missed, hit the top of the stumps, and Buck strikes. And Scott goes for a well-played 21 off just 14 balls, and Gloucestershire 167 for 6, 11 balls to go in the innings.
Yeah, he's played a good big part there, really, Scott. It was a good innings because it was a cameo, yes, and that's often the case at these stages of the game. You come in and 20 off 10, 20 off 11 is a good score, but he's also ran hard for Jack Taylor as well the other end. It's been a good little partnership for those two, because, as Ian was saying, it did just rock a little bit. Now they have got a chance of getting 190.
They certainly have. And it's interesting, just as he was talking about Jack Taylor deciding it was warm work and taking his sweater off, I was putting my fleece on because it was just starting to feel a little bit chilly up here, but they're doing rather more running around than we are. Well, indeed, we're doing none. It's going to be Graham Van Buren who comes to the crease, who I last saw batting at Bristol in the game at the one session that we had in the Bob Willis Trophy. Played nicely, played some nice shots. And the game before it was abandoned, of course, on Sunday. It seems a long time ago. Facing this ball from Nathan Buck, 167 for 6, Gloucestershire, and Van Buren on the back foot plays it up on the onside and picks up an easy single to get off the mark. 168 for 6. And now Jack Taylor facing Buck so far with 1 for 36 from 3.2. Cobb having bowled 3 overs for 21, Sanderson 3 overs for 39, Berg 2 for 27, White 4 overs 3 for 28. As Buck comes in, bowls to Taylor, who smears that one away on the onside, but it goes straight flat to Tom Sole on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Him again, and again gets his returning quickly, and they pick up just a single. One more to Taylor, 15 to him, 169 for 6. And Luke Proctor's been tidy as well, 3 overs 1 for 17.
Yep.
So it's really White and Proctor and Cobb, pace-off men, who've been most successful this afternoon as far as Northamptonshire are concerned. It's Buck in again, bowls to Van Buren, who goes aerial, looking to hit that over the infield on the offside, and he gets a single as it goes out to Alex Wakely, running in off the boundary in front of the West Stand. And Van Buren to 2, 170 for 6. 2 balls to go in the over. 3 runs off the over so far from Nathan Buck. And yeah, Gloucestershire 180, 185, probably certainly within their sights, which I think would be a competitive total. As Buck runs in, running away from us, bowls to Taylor, who drives that up towards long on, and it manages to split the fielders, Graham White and Tom Sole. White coming round from long on, and Sole coming round from deep mid-wicket, and it split the two of them and went for 4.
I think he's just missed his Yorker, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he was going full.
Yeah, and Taylor took full advantage of what was a low full toss, hammered it away. He's 19, 174 for 6. 1 ball to go for Nathan Buck this afternoon. Finishing the 19th over, and it's driven again up towards long on by Jack Taylor, who picks up a single, as it's White who comes in off the boundary to field. End of that over. The 19th of the innings, with Taylor on 20, Van Buren on 2. 8 runs off it, and with 1 over to go, Gloucestershire 175 for 6.
So we'll bowl this last over at the top end then, will it be Proctor? Who's coming in here? No, it'll be Sanderson.
Looks like Sanderson,
again,
which is interesting, considering he's gone for 39 in 3.
Yeah, you have a role, don't you? And if you're the guy that bowls the last at the death, that's your role. So sometimes that's the beauty of this format. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how your game's gone. If you've got the role and you're trusted to do it, you get on and do it.
So Jack Taylor to take strike at the start of the last over. He's got 20. 175 for 6 Gloucestershire. Sanderson to bowl to Taylor, who's paddled that around to deep square where there is a man on the rope, and they'll just get 1. So 6 wickets gone in this Gloucestershire innings, and I think 6 catches all in the deep.
Yeah.
Other than 5 catches in the deep and Scott being bowled.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
So all 5 catches have been in the deep.
Nature of the format.
176 for 6, 5 balls to go. Van Buren gets outside off stump and works that away to deep mid wicket, but again there is a man on the field, on the rope, so he'll only get 1.
I'm actually surprised that one of these batters haven't got down and tried to paddle Sanderson, because every ball at the moment is going to be a Yorker and there's no change of field. Get yourself down and see if you can beat this fine leg around the corner here.
He's got fine leg up and third man up. And Taylor try and go straight. Again he works it into the leg side, and 1 more. So it looks like it's going to be somewhere in the 180s for Gloucestershire. They've got a couple of 190s against, but Worcestershire are at the foot of the table. 178 for 6. Van Buren could have a genuine bat coming in at number 8. Bat 3 in the championship. Waits now. Sanderson to bowl to him, and he's tried to club that away to cow corner. He's got it through the fielder. It's gone for 4.
That's a great shot. Again, just missing his Yorker, and very well hit. Sweetly timed.
Again, there's not. How far's that gap, do you think? 40 metres?
Yeah,
maybe a bit wider. Actually, they're splitting those two a bit wider than I thought. But
yeah,
if they're both converging on the ball, it's still got to be very well placed to.
Yeah. And it skips along the ground when it's skimmed like that. It skips along the ground. It hits the pockets quicker. If you get under that and you're relying on it to go 1 bounce 4 or 6, it hangs in the air, gives a fielder a chance to get around.
182 for 6. Van Buren waits. Sanderson to bowl to him. He's steered that away straight to Paul Sterling, who is at backward point really on the edge of the circle, and they'll get 1. Jack Taylor, probably one of the slower 22s he's made in his T20 career, I should think. This only 2 4s, but he's played responsibly to this point. 183 for 6 in the last over, and even that's a responsible shot, because he thinks he might be able to get 2, and certainly Van Buren is scuttling back for the second, and they'll get a couple off the last ball, which takes them up to 185 for 6. 10 off the last over. Jack Taylor finishes 24 not out, and Gloucestershire with a total that, if you go back to your note, Ben, about the par scores batting first, well, they're above par at the moment, so they're definitely in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the whole competition this year has parred 164 first innings. Northamptonshire's is 165, so they'll know they'll need to bat really, really well here, obviously, that's stating the obvious, but if they'd take a leaf out of Gloucestershire's book there, I was really impressed how Dent and Cobain, they used their experience, used their knowledge to adjust very, very quickly to what Northamptonshire were bowling during that power play. The way that they played through the middle, they still chanced their arm. I think they'll probably look back and think, did we look to go a little bit too aerial towards the long boundaries? Maybe we should have skimmed, hit the ball flatter into the pockets. Like I mentioned earlier, it does travel a lot quicker when you hit the ball flatter rather than when it hangs in the air. And the other thing that maybe just stood out to me then, just at the death there, Sanderson, I think he was probably a little bit too predictable. Every ball was needed to be a Yorker, but Northamptonshire's bowlers, White, Cobb, Proctor with the pace off there, bowled exceptionally well. Maybe Josh Cobb will reflect this evening when the game's finished and think, could I have got a couple of overs out of Sterling instead of one from each of the seamers through sort of like that earlier middle overs. But I think in all, Gloucestershire will go in happy. They've got those runs on the board. They're way above par for the competition and for Northants' first innings. And they'll know if they hold their nerve and field as well as Northamptonshire have fielded, they'll be in a great position to win this game.
So only a question before we hand to Andrew. Did you get the impression that they were picking the gaps between the fielders on in deeper positions better than average, or were they actually finding the fielders more often than not? Sounds odd with a score of 185.
Yeah, I think they adjusted very, very well. Like I said, I think in the power play it's easier for Dent and Cobain to do that because there's only 2 fielders out. So there's not so much the possibility of hitting the boundary. If you clear the infield, he's got every chance that the ball will race away for 4. It frees you up a little bit more when the fielders are up because you know you only have to get the ball over the infield, so you can time it. Hence why a lot of those shots do still go big. They go for 6. I mean, you're not trying to hit them too hard. When they picked the fielders out, I just thought that could they have been a little bit smarter and as a group gone, look, these are long square boundaries, they're very deep, the fielders will be on the edge, they'll be 80 yards away into the wind, it'll be like a 75, 80 yard hit. Can we just keep the ball on the floor, skim it? If it goes for 4, great. If it doesn't, we get 2. And by the time you've done that more times than not, you'll have made up for the chance of missing out on hitting it for 6, but also you probably keep 1 or 2 wickets in hand as well during those big partnerships.
Just looking at that, the stats, Ian, that's very just short of Gloucestershire's highest ever T20 score against Northamptonshire, 189 for 6. That's at the College Ground at Cheltenham in 2013, 7 years ago. It was Gloucestershire's best against
smaller playing area than here.
Yeah, no, absolutely, in T20 cricket. So I think it's a very satisfactory return. Let me just run through the scorecard. You're listening to T20 cricket on BBC Radio Northampton, DAB, and of course on BBC Sport Online with me, Andrew Rad, with Ian Randall, and with Ben Smith. If you want to listen, you're listening to BBC Radio Northampton, DAB, and you want to listen to the Wayne Bavin programme, he is available this afternoon on FM on 104.2 and 103.6 if you want to retune. Otherwise, it's the rest of this match on DAB, and then we'll hand back to Wayne when this finishes, which, if it goes the distance, will be around about 20 past 5 or thereabouts. Let me run you through the scorecard if you're just tuning in or logging on, with Gloucestershire being put into bat by Josh Cobb, and they lost Miles Hammond in the first over. Caught Sole bowled Cobb for 0. That was 0 for 1. Then a cracking partnership for the second wicket of 90 between Chris Dent and Ian Cobain. That ended when Dent was caught Sanderson bowled Graham White for 50. That was 90 for 2. Cobain falling more or less straight afterwards. Caught Sole bowled Proctor for 40. That was 97 for 3. In the 10th, James Bracey caught again in the deep by Sanderson off White for 14. That was 125 for 4 in the 13th. Ryan Higgins caught Sterling bowled White 25. That was 135 for 5 in the 15th. And then George Scott bowled by Nathan Buck for 21, 167 for 6 in the 19th over. Leaving Jack Taylor, who was not out, 24. He faced just 19 balls and hit a couple of 4s. And with him at the end was Graham Van Buren, who finished not out 8. 3 extras, which were 2 no balls and a wide, making 185 for 6. And the bowling, Josh Cobb finishing 3 overs, no maidens, 1 for 21. Ben Sanderson 4 overs for 49, so he was going at 12 and a quarter runs and over today. Gareth Berg 2 overs for 27. Nathan Buck 4 overs, 1 for 43. And then the 2 most economical bowlers, Graham White 4 overs, 3 for 28, once again doing an excellent job for his side. And Luke Proctor 3 overs, 1 for 17. Proctor brought into the side, making his first appearance in T20 cricket for Northamptonshire this season. And Ian, who's with me, I reckon Gloucestershire are going to be well happy with that.
Well, I was just looking at the so Gloucestershire have 6 bowlers. Northampton had Sterling, who they didn't use today. Gloucestershire have basically 6 front line bowlers. They have 2 spinners, and the 2 Northampton spinners bowled 7 overs and took 4 for 49 between them.
Yes.
So if Van Buren and Tom Smith can return those sorts of numbers, and Ryan Higgins can probably bowl more deliveries with the pace off, which he can do, then and they can bowl clearly. They can bowl well. They've got a really sporting chance of joining Northampton on 9 points. And the group is so close. And I said this to Ben before we started. I think Somerset are the elephant in the room in this group, because Gloucestershire still have to play Somerset twice. Somerset play Worcestershire today at home, where you would think they would probably win. So that would give them 7 points. So, if Gloucestershire win today, Somerset will be 2 points from both these 2 sides. and if Northants win, they'll be level with Gloucestershire, with having to play them twice in the last 4. So it looks a tight group. It looks as if it's splitting, because the Bears have lost 2, Glamorgan have lost 3, Worcestershire have lost 4. But when you've got back-to-back games, as we have, Gloucestershire's games this week are Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday.
Yes, same as us.
So it is a real rat-a-tat-tat schedule, and I'm sure that there's just a chat going on the output at the moment with Jack Taylor, and I'm sure his message will be, look, Sterling and Levy can give it a real biff, and if we don't split these 2 early, we could find ourselves on the thin end of the wedge here. Yeah,
what's been interesting, I mean, obviously all the talk before the tournament started was really about Northamptonshire's top order, and the top 4 of Sterling, Levy, Cobb and Rossington, and certainly on paper he would say he's got to be the strongest top 4 in the competition in the country. The issue has been so far that really they haven't, apart from the game against Worcestershire, when they were chasing a small total and put on over 100 and basically won the game between themselves, they haven't really fired beyond, say, the 4th, 5th over. If you look at when the first wicket has fallen, Northamptonshire have lost wickets in the power play in every match they've played, so they haven't seen it through the first 6, and a couple the previous match against Glamorgan, and the chase that I have to say, chasing 160 with a very short boundary on one side, you thought, well, it ought to be fairly straightforward, and it wasn't. And Glamorgan, to be fair, bowled extremely well and really pegged Northamptonshire back after, again, a bit of a flyer. Northamptonshire's leading run scorer, all-time run scorer in this format of cricket. And he saw it through and drew on all that experience and ability to win the game in the final over. But I think this is going to be a very tight. It's going to be a real test for this top order. We've heard all about it. We know what they can do. Well, on this occasion, they really are going to have to deliver.
Yeah. And just looking at the way Gloucester is starting, Matt Taylor was marking out his run at the far end, so maybe they're going to start in what you might call orthodox fashion with 2 of the quicker bowlers, David Payne from this Ken Turner stand end and Matt Taylor from the far end.
It is going to be Payne, I think, isn't it? Who's going to start from this pavilion end. David Payne it is, bowling his left arm seam. He's going to be bowling to Richard Levy with Paul Sterling as the non-striker, and the 2 boundary riders. He's got the man at fairly wide-ish third man, and then at deep backward square, and everybody else, of course, in the power play is in the ring in a 1 saving position. So Northamptonshire 186 to win at just over 9 runs and over. And here's Payne starting off and bowling to Levy, who is playing that into the offside but doesn't manage to beat the man at backward points. So a dot ball to begin for David Payne. Northamptonshire with Josh Cobb to come, and Adam Rossington, as we've discussed, Alex Wakely, Tom Sole coming into the side for only the 2nd time this season, and Luke Proctor, Gareth Berg, Graham White, and the 2 seamers Nathan Buck and Ben Sanderson. As Payne running away from us, left arm over, bowls to Levy, who's in behind that, plays it again to backward point with the same result. There's no run, and it's become rather Richard Levy's trademark over the last 2 or 3 seasons that he loves a chat between deliveries. And you have these, what we've been describing as these sort of Zoom calls. He loves to have a natter, and I have asked various people what he actually talks about, and they say sort of everything and nothing, but it just settles him a little bit. Payne in again, bowls to Levy, and Levy drives, but straight back to the bowler on the bounce. And Payne fields in his follow through, and there's no run.
Just seeing where Jack Taylor's actually got his fielders. He's got Cobain square at point, Chris Dent and Miles Hammond in the covers, and Taylor himself is at mid-off.
Yes, a densely populated cover area, isn't it?
Tom Smith is at short mid-wicket and Van Buren at mid-on.
As you would expect. Well, here's Payne again, bowls to Levy, who aims a huge drive over mid-on, doesn't make contact, goes past the outside edge, and it's taken by the keeper James Bracey. 4 balls gone, not a run on the board yet. Another conversation between Levy and Sterling. If nothing else, it doesn't do an awful lot for the cut-off time. You're sort of slightly conscious of the fact that time's getting on while they're having a great in-depth debate. And now there's a change in the field, which is delaying matters further, as he's bringing his third man up into the ring. And long on dropping back as Payne bowls to Levy, and he's going to get off the mark this time with a very quick scampered single as he plays it out on the offside. So Levy away and Northamptonshire away, 1 for no wicket. Just 1 ball to go in the first over, which has been right on the mark by David Payne. The required rate is 9.7, which obviously has gone up a little bit from the start of the innings. It was just a touch over 9 and over, but this has been a very good over from David Payne. And now Paul Sterling about to face his first ball, Irish international. So Ben will know plenty about him, and he's got cover on the boundary and deep square on the boundary as Payne bowls to him, and he chips that up on the onside, and he's going to get just a single as it runs down to that man at deep backward square. So both men away with a run apiece, but an excellent first over from David Payne, and Northamptonshire 1 over gone, a 2 for no wicket.
It looked like he might have gone away with 4, and 2 balls actually swung in then, that over. 1 to Levy and that last ball to Sterling. Then I don't know why, not quite behind the arm, but it might have been because the ball started straighter, it did just swing a little bit. But he'll be delighted with that Payne hitting that area straight away against these two. I mean, the one thing, the difference, like you've already alluded to, Radders, is Northamptonshire's power in that top 4. Even Rossington, it's just their strike rates are anything between Cobb, who's at 130, to Levy, who's at 140, and Rossington and Sterling are striking at 160 this year. So it does mean that the power is there for the Northamptonshire batter.
Matt Taylor has come into bowl from the far end. That's gone high in the air, and Chris Dent's got nowhere near that. It's gone so far up, and he's found it been very difficult to judge on the retreat. And in the end, he's probably been 3 strides short when it came down. And I'd say they take only 1 run for that.
Yeah. Sterling hit that so high. Hit that. If it had hit that flat, I think it would have gone out the ground, but it's gone as high as it would have gone long. So
the men out are at long on and at deep square leg for Richard Levy. 5 on the offside, saving 1. And the fine leg is up as well. So Matt Taylor, left arm round the wicket. Bowls now to Levy, and again it's short, and it's paddled right round to Miles Hammond, who gets his throw in. It is Miles Hammond, sorry. I was thinking where Scott was, and he and Scott are often on the rope, and Scott is out, in fact, in front of the scoreboard on the offside. Northampton's only got Luke Proctor as a left-hander, and they are 4 without loss in the second over. And that Taylor at the moment hasn't really pitched the ball up. That's not pitched up either, and that's gone over the infield, over Tom Smith, and away to Cow corner for 4.
Yeah, well, with the field set, deep square leg and deep cover point round the wicket, this left armer's bowling. Into the pitch, back of a length. It's as if he's looking to hit the pitch, go short, not go too full at all, doesn't want to get hit down the ground, but he's got cover both sides of the wicket here.
Taylor around the wicket at 8 for no loss, chasing 186. That's a bit further up, and it's gone straight to Jack Taylor on the bounce at mid-off, and it's a very good throw, and Rob White says not out. It's certainly worth asking the question. Jack Taylor with a direct hit from mid-off. He was just inside the 30-yard circle.
Good bit of fielding, wasn't it?
It
really
was.
Good bit of fielding. Yeah, Taylor coming round the wicket. He's both batters are probably going to set themselves on the back foot here. That's as full as he's been, that delivery. Caught Sterling probably slightly by surprise, didn't quite time it up to mid-off, but they scampered through for the one, alright.
Long on again has dropped back out. Sterling has 7 and Levy on strike has 2. Matt Taylor to bowl to him and gives himself plenty of room. Again goes up to Jack Taylor. He's run over the top of that. Now he's got to chase back because they're going to get 3 probably from a ball where they really should have only got a single. Ryan Higgins coming round to field, but Jack Taylor ran right over the top of that, and 2 extra runs for Northants, which really shouldn't have been there. 12 without loss, and they're chasing 186 to win. Levy waits for Matt Taylor once more from the far end towards us, and Levy just steers that straight to Van Buren and think about a single, and they're able to take one because Van Buren just has a slight fumble at short third man, so it will be 13 without loss off 2. Gloucestershire was 7 for 1 at this stage, but early point in the Northants innings, and the 2 seamers have started out for Gloucestershire in more orthodox fashion than just try to steal an over from a spinner at this stage.
Yeah, that's right. I think they've started off nicely. Actually, they've run in, they've hit decent areas. It looks like they're bowling to pretty, concrete plans. How many 3s does Levy run in T20 cricket?
I suspect not very many. I don't know if you noticed that Paul Sterling was just like giving a little bow to the dressing room, so whether somebody had said something. But David Payne is going to start the 3rd over, and he's going to be bowling to Sterling, who's on 8, and Sterling cracks that to mid-off. It's a no ball called by umpire Nick Cook, so that's going to be a free hit. I was wondering why, because he hit it in the air, and it went on the bounce to mid-off, and I was wondering for a moment why he wasn't making a bit more of an attempt to come in, and that's obviously why I picked up the call. So 2 on the total, 15 for no wicket and a free hit to Paul Sterling. Don't please Gloucestershire captain too much. He bowls very short and it flies over Paul Sterling's head, and umpire Nick Cook signals that that's 1 for the over. But it was a good response from David Payne. It was a quick ball, actually.
It was a quick ball, wasn't it? It just goes to show there is some pace in this pitch if you're prepared to bend your back.
It really fizzed into the gloves. Here's Payne in again to bowl to Paul Sterling. And Sterling pulls and gets a top edge, and it goes over third man for 4. And that's unlucky for the bowler. A bit of a moral success. Not at all where Sterling was aiming. He was aiming mid-wicket, and it just went off the edge and went down to third man for 4. So Sterling to 12, Northamptonshire to 19 for no wicket. We're in the 3rd over. Remember, the victory target is 186, which is certainly a good deal more than Northamptonshire have had to chase in any of the other games so far this season in the Blast. As Payne bowls to Sterling, who plays it out towards mid-wicket, and the call straight away is 2, and they are going to pick up 2. It just goes into the gap, running up towards the old scoreboard, so they come back for 2. Sterling to 14, and Northamptonshire to 21 for no wicket. And Richard Levy has a little wander down the pitch towards his partner, because though he wants a chat, but Paul Sterling on this occasion just wants to concentrate on facing the bowling.
Getting his breath back.
You said that. Payne comes in, bowls. It's a good slower ball from David Payne, well bowled. And Sterling looking to just angle the bat and run it down towards third man. Doesn't make contact. Clever bit of bowling by David Payne.
Surprised he didn't play more of a sort of committed cut shot to that type
he was just
of ball.
Looking to sort of nurdle it down, wasn't he? Run it down towards.
Bat, open the face. He's absolutely devastating through that cover point, backward point area when he throws his hands at it.
21 for no wicket in the 3rd over. The target 186. Payne in again, bowls to Sterling, who's tucked up a little bit by that, and plays it down to the man at short third man on the edge of the circle, and gets just a single. So Sterling to 15, 22 for no wicket. 1 ball to go in the 3rd, so Northamptonshire going along at just a tad over 7 at the moment. They need, of course, across the innings to be going at 9. But as Ben said a moment or two ago, plenty of power in the top 4. As Payne comes in, running away from us, bowls to Levy, who gives himself room, and Payne will think there's absolutely no justice. Once again, it's gone off the top edge, it's gone down to third man, and it's 4 runs. So I suppose all you can say from the bowler's point of view, we did give him a little bit of width, but it wasn't where he was intending. I don't think it was a deliberate stroke, but he picks up 4 for it. 9 to Levy, 15 to Sterling, 3 overs gone. And Northamptonshire 26 for no wicket, 13 off the over.
Yeah, those 2 shots there where both those Northamptonshire batters, Sterling and Levy, have gone hard at the pace. Now, one thing to notice is both the left-arm seamers, Taylor and Payne, that have opened here for Gloucestershire have got more pace than the Northamptonshire bowlers. So they're actually gone pace on and hard into length at full pace as well.
Matt Taylor to continue. This is the 4th over of the reply, and Levy has gone straight. He's gone over Ryan Higgins at long on. Will he get to it and haul it in before it goes over the rope? He won't, because he was back 15 yards in from the rope at the far end, the indoor school end of the ground, but it's cleared him, and it's gone all the way to the boundary for 430 without loss. So just looking at that Northants card, only 3 extras.
Yes.
Not a single leg bye or a single bye in that total. Gloucestershire given away 2 runs of the no ball already. Matt Taylor in, that's clubbed away aerially and all the way over the infield, and 4 more for Paul Sterling.
Now, I've seen limited amounts of batting from Levy over the last few years since he's been in this country. He's very much a leg side dominant player, Radders, you would say.
Yeah.
So he goes that way. Sterling on the back foot will hit you flat over mid wicket if you come straight to him, but doesn't necessarily play off his legs that often. This angle isn't really working.
5 on the offside for Matt Taylor, and that's gone over all 5 of them. I think George Scott's on the retreat, but he can't get that, and they'll come back for 2. Sterling's charged his arm in this over, and it's paying off at the moment.
I can see why they do it, why they are doing it, because as I said earlier, Sterling's devastating through that cover point area, so a left arm seamer pushing it across him just tend to feed him a little bit. But I think if you're going round the wicket to Sterling, you don't want to be bowling too short as a left armer. You want to be going hard into length and being more full than short.
He's got a man out at deep mid wicket and a man out at deep square, but Taylor is persisting with this attack to Sterling, who plays that quietly out on the offside straight to Van Buren, who's a short third man, but they can easily get through for a single because he's right on the edge of the circle. 37 for no wicket, Northants. Only in the 4th over. Just to give you a guide, at the end of the power play, Gloucestershire was 66 for 1, so they're setting themselves well here on BBC Northampton, on DAB, and also on the BBC Sport website. Matt Taylor, Gloucestershire's left arm seamer, and he bowls one that beats Levy outside the off stump. Levy gave himself room, but I think that straightened. If that had gone on with the arm, it would have hit the off stump, and it straightened up and beat the off stump and went through to James Bracey.
You know what, from this angle here, I thought he'd given himself some room. I thought the ball actually passed between the batsman and the stumps, but Levy's looking as though it's straight. It went like a left arm spinner.
That was certainly my impression.
Yeah.
Taylor with Bracey standing back, and he's lobbed that. He's got, well, I say lobbed it. He's got it off the top half of the bat. He's gone over the keeper and all the way. You hear it thudding into the boundary boards down in front of us at the foot of the Ken Turner stand for 4 more. 41 for no wicket, Northants, after 4 overs. And Levy and Sterling, largely Sterling, because he's got 26 of them, giving them a good base. He has 26 and Levy has 13.
Yeah, the pace on, the extra pace hasn't worked, has it? I think just subtle change-ups have, and it's been hard for these 2 Northamptonshire batters to actually find some sort of rhythm. It is still very much go hard at the ball, and if there's pace on, it will disappear. If there's pace on, if I can get just enough of it while the field is up during the power play, that's working for the Northamptonshire batters. Hasn't really provided any half opportunities yet for For Gloucester, apart from that, that mammoth ball that Sterling hit up probably higher than the light towers, straight up in the air that Dent couldn't get to.
It's going to be Ryan Higgins. He's coming into the attack to bowl the 5th over. He's going to be bowling to Paul Sterling on 26. Keeper standing up, James Bracey, and Higgins bowls, and Sterling just laces that one away over backward point, and it's another boundary. 4 more to Paul Sterling, who goes to 30, 45 for no wicket by way of comparison. After 4 overs, Gloucestershire were 28 for 1. They then had a couple of big overs there. They had 15 off the 5th over and that 23 off the 6th over, so they were up to 66 for 1 by the end of the power play. But Northamptonshire will be not unhappy, I think, with this start, and James Bracey, having stood up for 1 ball, has now decided to stand back. So, which has entailed the helmet going off and his cap coming on. There's Higgins running in again, away from us, bowls to Sterling, who drives, but it only goes up to the man at backward point, and he doesn't get a single, doesn't time it. Ball of very full length, and just rehearsing the stroke. The 2 fielders on the boundary. At the moment he's got deep mid-wicket and long on, who's invisible to us at the moment, but he is there, just down in front of us. And Higgins, my right arm, medium pace, bowls to Sterling, who absolutely hammers that one at cover. He has to go down as a chance, because he hit it very, very hard. It didn't manage to hang on to it, and it goes away for a single. That was Tom Smith, I think, at cover.
Would have been a terrific catch, though.
He hit it very, very hard, and he dived away to his right, took the way off it, but got a single. 31 to Sterling, 46 for no wicket. And Higgins in again, bowls to Levy, full toss, and Levy chips that into the onside. And just gets a single as George Scott comes off the boundary at deep mid-wicket to field. Levy to 14, 47 for no wicket. Hit that hard, Ben, didn't he? There?
He did, yeah. It'd be ruining not keeping hold of it, though, the fielder. I think he's on the 30-yard circle, especially he's got his hands to the ball. I think he'll be thinking in the back of his mind now, hopefully that's not going to cost too much.
Sterling on 31, facing this ball from Higgins, and he drives. It goes up to mid-off, and it's well fielded by Jack Taylor, leading by example, but they still managed to come through for a single. 32 to Sterling, off just 19 balls, 48 for no wicket.
He's definitely got his wrists working well here, Sterling.
Yes.
Yeah.
His hand speed is just astonishing. The innings he played at Worcester, that was the thing that stuck in my mind, as Higgins bowls wide outside the off stump, and it's signalled wide by umpire Nick Cook, despite the fact that Richard Levy had given himself some room and was stepping away towards the leg side, looking to spear that one away over extra cover, but it was very wide.
It was outside of the guideline.
It was outside the guideline, yeah, and so Nick Cook called it, so he's going to bowl that one again. 49 for no wicket. Higgins in again and bowls very full length to Levy, who just clips it around the corner, and he picks up a single, which brings up the 50. End of the over, 5 gone. Northamptonshire 50 for no wicket. Levy is 15 and Sterling is 32.
Well, it looks as though the first 4 overs of this innings, Gloucestershire have really gone hard at these 2 batters, and they've tried to knock them over with pace. Maybe the odd slur ball thrown in there just to keep them guessing, but they've hit back of a length hard, tried to tuck them up, which will be what they've planned, especially to Sterling, who's, like I said, very, very good outside that off stump. He's pretty much extremely dangerous through the offside from cover to backward point. And then they've bowled a little bit slightly wider to Levy, who we know is more of an onside player. But that over there, that 5th over, looks as though they've really gone a death over, trying to get as many Yorkers in as possible, which actually isn't a bad idea, because it will lead to a low full toss. It won't give either of these 2 batsmen opportunities to free their arms, tuck them up, and now we've gone into some left arm spin.
So Graham van Buren into the attack for the first time from the Lynn Wilson end. We've got sort of about 4 paces. Tries to fire it in from around the wicket. I think Michael Yardy in his day. and they'll get a single off the first delivery. James Bracey obviously standing up, and now Paul Sterling takes guard to Van Buren for the first time. 51 without loss, Northants. The target is 186. And these two teams, first and second at the start of play in this group. Van Buren goes straight, and Bracey thinks he's got him, and he has. So Sterling goes with a stumping from Bracey. Sterling looks aghast, but Van Buren has the breakthrough. That was following Sterling. He tried to back away to chop it away through the offside, but it beat the outside edge, and Bracey was mustered. 51 for 1.
Yeah, he brilliantly bowled. Sterling gave himself probably a little bit too much room, eyeing up to go over extra cover. Van Buren's just followed him and bowled the ball between Sterling and the stumps. Great piece of wicket keeping. But it looked like Sterling hadn't advanced, had he? So I don't think he thought he was out his crease too much. He looked back in astonishment that he'd been given out stumped. So, but a good start. He's got them off to a flyer there, and he'll be happy with that. He'll just be disappointed he couldn't kick on now.
Yeah, Sterling out for 32. 5 fours in that. And Josh Cobb in at number 3 for Northants. More than 150 games in this format of cricket, which is a large number. 3,200 runs at 25. So he's made a big contribution since this format was introduced, and now of course captaining the side as well. So Jack Taylor's changing the field understandably for Cobb. So Chris Dent is going out to deep mid-wicket. It's quite almost deep square. He's almost a deep forward square almost, and he's got a short orthodox mid-wicket who is Higgins, but Cobb plays that out on the offside, and it's fielded by Miles Hammond. He's by George Scott, I should say, who's coming in from just on the edge of the circle at cover points. He's got Cobain out at long off, and Van Buren tosses that up, and he's bowled Cobb, and this is a big over for Van Buren. 2 wickets in the over, and the Northants captain goes for a duck. It's 51 for 2.
Yeah, it looked like he played over that. He's used his feet to go down the ground. Cobb looks like he's yorked himself. Van Buren's actually bowling. He reminds me of like a shorter sort of, I'd say, southern hemisphere type of bowler, where he's just running a little bit wide of the crease. He's fairly low trajectory, just getting that ball to angle in, get it under the bat. He's not looking to throw it up. Yeah, subcontinent type of bowling here, but he's Cobb will be disappointed obviously for getting out second ball, but he's just used his feet to put a bit of pressure back on the bowler and played over that. I was just actually going to say, I think it'll be how well Northamptonshire play the spin will dictate how well they go through these middle overs obviously, but can they put themselves in a position where they set up a situation in the last 2 or 3 overs against the seamers when they come back on, they're ahead of the game, which is going to be tough here because it looks like pace off is the way forward, especially as we saw the ball disappear to the 2 quick bowlers in those first 4 overs.
So Adam Rossington in at number 4. 50 for no wicket off 5 to bowl a spinner for the last over of the power play. Would have been a big call for Jack Taylor, but it's paid off. He's got a slip in as well now. Van Buren into bowl to Rossington, who George just pushes that out on the offside, and it goes 2 bounces to George Scott. He wasn't played with the conviction he would have wanted.
Bit of spin in.
Confidence he would have wanted. Van Buren again whipping through this over, and a dot ball to finish it as Rossington plays it back to the bowler. So 2 wickets for Van Buren in that over, and Gloucestershire have got Northants to 51 for 2 at the end of the power play. Just a single off that over and 2 wickets for Van Buren. 51 for 2 at the end of the power play, and the target, remember, is 186. But Levy, the dangerous Levy, is still there. Yeah,
Rossington's a powerful batsman as well, and they've got still a lot of experience and Wakely to come. It's still game on, but just one thing I noticed there, it looked as though 1 or 2 of the balls did just hold a little bit in the surface, just gripped.
Well, it's the 4th game running in this competition that Northamptonshire have lost 2 wickets in the power play. So, as we've said right from the start, the top order, although there's been a lot of discussion about it and a lot of praise for it, apart from the game against Worcestershire, hasn't necessarily fired. And here's Tom Smith into the attack with a left arm spinner, and he starts off with a ball of full length to Levy, who drives it out for a single to the man coming in off the cover boundary. Levy up to 17, 52 for 2. Northamptonshire having lost in that last over. Sterling for 32, Cobb for 0. Adam Rossington, who has been out of action for a little while after damaging a finger, back in the side for this one, and he faces that ball from Smith and gets off the mark as he drives that one again out to the cover boundary. The man sweeping on the fence comes into field, has to run good distance away to his left but quickly to the ball, so Rossington away with a single, 53 for 2. And Smith already back, bowling to Levy, who works that one away into the onside, big gap, easy single. It goes down to backward square, just past umpire Rob White. 18 to Levy, 54 for 2.
Smith's a bit like Cobb, mainly plays white ball cricket. Plays a little bit of red ball, but not very much.
Yep, 3 balls, 3 singles so far. Smith bowls to Rossington, who forces that away off the back foot once again. That man in front of the west stand, who's in action, comes off the boundary and field, and they pick up another single. 4 singles off 4 balls, 55 for 2. Chasing 186, Smith in again, bowls to Levy, who's struck on the pad as he again looks to work that one away into the onside. And James Bracey quickly round from behind the stumps to field and to rule out any possibility of a scampered leg by. Smith in again, bowls to Levy, and Levy does make contact this time, working it away just behind square on the onside. And he picks up a single, end of the over, so 5 runs off it. Levy is 19, Rossington is 2, and with 7 overs gone, Gloucestershire at this stage was 74 for 1, Northamptonshire are 56 for 2.
Was it the 7th over that was a big over for Gloucestershire?
Sixth.
The 6th over was a big over for Gloucestershire, so that's what took them away from this type of, took them a little bit ahead of where Northamptonshire are now. But I'm impressed here with Van Buren and Smith, how they've held their line. Both Rossington and Levy are looking to give themselves a little bit of room, but they've followed them.
Van Buren to continue from the far end, and that's clipped in the air but safe by Levy. Didn't try to hit it too hard, and Miles Hammond comes off the boundary at deep backward square to field. He also has a long on and a long off out, Van Buren. Cobain and Scott, I think, are those two, and that's squirted to Matt Taylor by Rossington. Taylor's at short third man, no chance of a run there, and again Van Buren just tries to tuck up Rossington on leg stump, and nothing that he can do other than play it defensively back out on the onside, and Van Buren fields. They trots it off about 4 paces, and again that's a fairly leg stump line, but they've got a single out of it this time. Rossington just working it towards David Payne at short fine leg. Never a chance of a catch though, but Levy was aware to it, aware of the singles opportunity, and they got through for 1. Levy now on strike, and Bracey thinks he's got him again. Is that a caught behind? Levy's walking.
Yeah. Stumped, I think.
Well, I looked for the umpire signal as whether there was a signal for a stumping. There didn't appear to be one, but Van Buren's got another wicket, and now it's Levy who's going, and Northampton 58 for 3.
Does it say? It doesn't say.
My feeling was he was probably far enough down that he just
stumped,
carried on walking.
The board says stumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless it was so obvious,
I think
the batsman.
That's the last wicket, though, wasn't it? Was that the last? Was that no? Because Cobb was bowled. Yeah.
No, I think that was it. And I think he was so far down that he just carried on walking. Probably didn't feel he needed to.
Didn't need to wait
to give it out.
Van Buren has all 3 wickets here, and Alex Wakely coming in rather earlier than he would have anticipated, I think.
Yeah, he's come to the crease now. I don't think he would have thought he'd have been in in this situation, I suppose for Wakely, it's a better situation when there's a few more overs gone and he can come in and get the team over the line really, and add to a partnership and obviously bring some power at some stage with this high score that Northamptonshire are chasing. But he's going to have to get himself in here to build a partnership.
Slip in for Van Buren as he bowls to Wakely, just works that away on the onside. There's plenty of room there to take the single, and they do so to Tom Smith. But it's been a very, very good introduction into the attack for Graham Van Buren.
Very good.
59 for 3 of 8 Northants. The last 4 overs, the last 3 overs only had 9 runs, and Gloucestershire have taken 3 wickets.
Yeah, it looks to me as though Gloucestershire here have been very, very good with their change-ups since those first 4 overs. The first 4 overs were quick with the odd slower ball, and the 2 left-armers were hitting the pitch hard. As soon as over 5, when they changed the bowling, they've just surprised the Northants batsmen a bit.
Awful lot to do now as Tom Smith comes round the wicket, bowls to Wakely, who plays it out into the offside. They think about a single, and then there's a certain amount of confusion before eventually the fielder just doesn't quite pick it up cleanly, and they come through for 1. So Wakely to 2, 60 for 3. 2 relatively new batsmen at the crease, obviously very experienced ones, but those 2 overs of Graham Van Buren have really rocked Northamptonshire. And Smith bowls to Rossington, who drives that calmly up to the man coming in off the long off boundary, which is Miles Hammond. 1 more to Rossington, who goes to 4, 61 for 3. And Ben, to what extent do these two need to regroup? But also the asking rate's up to over 10 and over now.
Yeah. This is the beauty of this game, this format now, where
it's a dot ball there. Yes, Smith bowls to Wakely, just plays that to extra cover, no run.
Yeah, and they're both relatively new batsmen as well.
And there's Smith bowls again to Wakely, and once again carbon copy, drives it up to extra cover, fielded by Jack Taylor, and there's no run, and just a little hint of frustration there in Alex Wakely's body language after that last stroke. Here's Smith in again. This time he does pick up a single as he just drives it up to the man coming in off the long on boundary, Ian Cobain. 1 more to Wakely, 4 to him, and Northamptonshire up to 62 for 3. The target is 186. This is the 9th over, just 1 ball to go. And Rossington giving himself an acre of room outside the leg stump, and ends up just paddling that ball round the corner and picking up a single. In fact, he doesn't even get anything on it. It just comes off the pad. Signal leg by umpire Nick Cook as it rolls down towards fine leg. So end of another very tidy over by one of the Gloucestershire slower bowlers. It's been Smith and Van Buren who've really applied the brakes here in a big way and picked up those 3 wickets, and with 9 overs gone, Northamptonshire 63 for 3.
Yeah, these 2 spinners have bowled brilliantly in tandem, haven't they? And Van Buren, what's really impressed me is he's bowled such a tight line to the 2 right-handers backing away.
Here is Van Buren again from the far end towards us, and clipped for a single by Rossington, who, to that last delivery from Tom Smith, he appeared to move, Ben, to me so early that Smith could make it obvious he was going to follow him.
Yeah, there's 2 options there. He could have either gone outside off stump, inside the wide line, and I don't think Rossington would have reached it.
Van Buren again into Wakely, a single for him this time out to Tom Smith. I mean, the only thing I would say is that by bowling the 2 spinners early, Jack Taylor, I suppose what he's doing is he's trying to really put the pressure up on the clock, isn't he, here? And Wakely goes for a attempted drive up to long off, and he gets it off outside half of the bat, and it goes to Matt Taylor, that short third man. They do get through for a single. 66 for 3 Northants in the 10th over. This is Van Buren's 3rd over. It comes in and bowls to Wakely, who sweeps on the full, and it's well stopped on the rope on that deep square. By, that might be George Scott out there, and this time Van Buren again. He's through his over so quickly. Another dot ball this time as Rossington pushes it out to Jack Taylor on the edge of the circle at extra cover. 67 for 3. Van Buren in, and again that's dropped back of the length really, almost a seamer's delivery, and they've got just one run because again Chris Dent is in smartly, and it will be a single to Northants, 67 for 3. They are 5 off over from Van Buren. He's got through 3 overs from that far end. 67 for 3 Northants. At halfway, at this stage, Gloucestershire were 102 for 3.
Yeah, I think that what Van Buren's done brilliantly there is, again, I didn't quite finish what I was saying. He's followed the right-handers, but then he's also fired in a wide-hole Yorker. He's gone into the pitch over the top of the stump, so he's kept the batters guessing.
Tom Smith about to start his 3rd over. Just 8 runs conceded from the first 2, but he's going to concede a boundary there as Rossington works that one away through mid-wicket. 2 men out there, but George Scott had to come round from mid-wicket, and the man at long on as well managed to find a route between the 2 of them. So welcome boundary for Northamptonshire. 11 to Rossington, 72 for 3. You feel Northamptonshire need a biggish over just to get themselves back on track, and Smith firing that one wide outside the off stump as Rossington again looking to give himself room, cuts it away to backward point, man coming in off the boundary and picks up a single. He goes to 12, 73 for 3. Van Buren, who's gone 3 for 9 off his 3 overs. Smith 2 overs for 8 before this one. He's in again, bowls to Wakely, who comes down the pitch, gives it a little chassé, but in the end just finishes up playing it defensively out on the offside. Wakely 5 off 8 balls, Rossington 12 off 15. Smith in again, bowls to Wakely, who drives down the ground out towards long off. He gets just a single, as it's Miles Hammond who comes in off the boundary and fields. One more to
Hammond
Wakely.
at long off and Cobain at long on, the 2
Yes.
Gloucestershire fielders patrolling the straight hit of Smith, potentially.
Yeah, 6 to Wakely, 74 for 3. Rossington faces this ball wide outside the off stump, and that's not signalled a wide by umpire Nick Cook, and it was because again Rossington had stepped away way outside leg stump, and
probably too far.
Well, yes, he went very early, didn't he?
Yeah.
And here's Smith in again, bowls to Rossington, follows him this time, and he sweeps it to deep backward square and picks up a single to end the over. That's another one gone, 11 down, with Wakely on 6, Rossington on 13, Northamptonshire 75 for 3. They need another 111 runs to win with 9 overs to go.
This is a great example of getting through your overs quickly. We look up and the overs have gone so quickly. 11 overs have gone, and the scoreboard in the score column seems to have just stood still for the last 2 or 3 overs. It doesn't seem as though it's been able to move at any real rate. But you look up and we're over halfway now.
Van Buren's last over from the far end, the indoor school end. I think that has spun, Ben, isn't it?
Spun. A couple have spun. He's really giving it a rip bowling it fast into the pitch. There's a lot of energy on the ball today from him. Rossington
beaten by the last delivery. What does he do to this one? Comes forward, drives, tries to get past Jack Taylor, which he will do. There's a fielder out on the rope though, and that is returned by Ryan Higgins to the bowler's end. Northants having lost openers Levy and Sterling and Josh Cobb, all to Van Buren in this spell. That's a fuller delivery, and they're going to try and look for 2 here, Alex Wakely, and having got it almost round to the rope, there's a long chase round there for George Scott, and they will get 2, 78 for 3 in the 12th. Van Buren started this last over with 3 for 9 from 3 overs. That's tossed up a bit more. That should go straight to Cobain at long off, which it does. They'll just pick up 1. There's never more than 1 there. And this is without doubt Van Buren's most effective spell in T20 cricket this season, or indeed possibly in his Gloucestershire career, I would say, given the context of the game and what the score was when he came on.
Well, they're showing him some respect as well this over, aren't they? Because they've not tried to take him downtown or anything. They've just looked to knock him around, Wakely and Rossington, get him out of his spell and see who's next.
80 for 3. leg side, and David Payne, was he going to go and try to catch that or try and stop it? At a bit of a Wakely moment from earlier on, but it wasn't quite so obvious a catch. And the applause from, I think, the Gloucestershire coaching staff is for Graham Van Buren's completed spell. He's picked up 3 wickets from that far end, all 3 wickets that have fallen so far, and it is 81 for 3 Northants after 12. Rossington has 15 and Wakely has 10, and we'll give you Van Buren's completed figures in a moment.
Well, Van Buren's been the difference between the two teams up until this point. 3 for how many has he gone for?
3 for 15, I think.
15 off his 4 overs.
I think.
Yeah, in what will need to be a high, which will turn out to be a high-scoring game if Northamptonshire get close or do get over the line. His figures will stand out massively. So that's a brilliant effort from him. And what he's done is he's turned the ball, he's bowled the ball with real energy, he's fired it into the pitch quick. So even if he's missed his line and his length slightly, the batsmen haven't had a lot of time to adjust. He's not just run in slowly and bowled orthodox spin. So he's caught the Northamptonshire batters by surprise, and it's worked.
Matt Taylor back into the attack with Tom Smith still having an over left, but here's Taylor bowling his 3rd, left arm round the wicket, very full length to Wakely, who drives to backward point, and there's no run, and every dot ball absolutely priceless.
Yeah. Just to pick up a point, Andrew, that means there's only 1 over of spin Gloucestershire got left available.
Yep.
That perhaps is a key point at this stage.
Yes, Smith 3 overs for 15, and Matt Taylor, his first 2 overs going for 26. What can he do here? Bowling left arm round, bowling to Wakely again, very full length outside the off stump. Wakely just drives it up into the offside, and it's fielded by the man coming in off the extra cover boundary.
Chris Dent's been there for most of the afternoon.
Yes, he's parked out there in front of the West Stand. If there were spectators in there, he'd be getting jip, because that's what tends to happen there. As it is, he's having a lovely quiet afternoon, and he keeps it down to a single. 82 for 3. Rossington on strike on 15, and Taylor bowling round the wicket, and Rossington clubbing that up to long on, but again he's only going to get a single, and boundaries like hen's teeth at the moment for Northamptonshire, very few and far between. 16 to Rossington, 83 for 3. Wakely on strike, and Gloucestershire, as Ian made the observation, absolutely whipping through their overs, and Taylor bowling very full once again to Wakely, and again he just drives it up to long off.
Taylor's bowled very smart here. He's bowled it full, sort of wide hole we'd call it, so he's getting it right under the bat, just inside that guideline for the umpire for the offside wide, but he's got a 3rd man, deep cover and a long off back, so you'd say he's bowling brilliantly to his field, and it's a long boundary as well out there.
Well, 3 singles and a dot ball in this over so far as Rossington faces this ball from Matt Taylor. Again, it's wide outside the off stump. He squeezed that one away through backward point. He might get more than a single. Yes, he is. He's coming back for 2. So 2 to Rossington this time. He goes up to 18, 86 for 3. So 100 needed by Northamptonshire off 49 balls.
But Northamptonshire will have hope, because as long as these two stay together in the crease, they'll back themselves to be thereabouts towards the end.
Well, chance also possibly for Tom Sole to make a name for himself. He's a fine hitter of the ball. Matt Taylor in again, bowls dry, and Rossington absolutely laces that back at the bowler. Hit it very hard. Didn't give the bowler much of a chance, and it goes away for a welcome boundary. 4 to Rossington, 22 to him. And at the end of the 13th over rather, Northamptonshire are 90 for 3. 22 to Rossington, 12 to Wakely. 96 runs needed off 7 overs.
That was a class shot there at the end there from Rossington, knowing that what Taylor's looking to do and get hit to the long boundary, get hit to his fielders in the deep. He didn't give himself quite as much room, stayed behind it and flat batted it back past Taylor. Taylor did well to get out of the way. I don't think he had any choice, it was past him. But Nick Cook's look on his face, double teapot, looks as though he was thinking his life was in danger there. Saw it flash before his eyes.
Well, Jack Taylor's trying to up the ante even more here, so Tom Smith's going to bowl his last over from the far end. He comes in and Wakely drives up to long on. Oh, Scott, there's a bit of a fumble there, and they're going to come back for 2. Should only have been 1, really. Yeah,
he didn't attack it, and then he went down into a long barrier position, so if it was to bobble, he was in no position to attack the throw, was he?
92 for 3 in the 14th Northants, so they're just about halfway, but they've used up a lot of their overs. Here's Tom Smith. into bowls of Wakely. He's gone aerial. That could be a catch for Chris Dent. Safe hands. Dent takes it on the boundary, and Wakely goes, and Tom Smith has another wicket. That's his 10th wicket in the tournament, and Wakely goes for 14, and Northants are 92 for 4.
There's that dreaded long long boundary again, isn't it, out on the leg side there. Wakely's just tried to go over the top. Again, I'm not going to say it too many times, I hope not this game, but if he'd have played a good solid flat sweep as hard as he could along the ground, just hate to think what would have happened if he could have hit that for 4 and been there for the next ball.
Well, Wakely goes, and Tom Sole comes in his place. Obviously Scotland international, and as Rada said earlier, son of famous dad who played rugby for Scotland in the front row. Would have been described by the late Bill McLaren many times, I'm sure. David, that's his dad, obviously. So Tom Smith has his wicket, but David's son will not be on strike at the moment because the ball was in the air long enough for the batsman to cross. So Tom Smith's just having a word with Jack Taylor about the field. He's still got long on and long off out, deep mid wicket, deep backward square, and deep cover. Nobody basically in front of square on the leg side saving a single. Smith in to Rossington, who just has gun barrel straight that, and Rossington can only just play it back straight up the pitch. Smith turns at the end of his run and trots in, left arm round the wicket, and slightly back of a length so that Rossington has to just play it out in the offside. Jack Taylor tries to throw at the non-striker's end. It misses, and it good job that Dent was backing up, because otherwise that might have been more overthrows. Not had a happy stay in the field, Jack Taylor. He ran over one ball, had a direct hit at the non-striker's end which wasn't out, and then that one missed by quite a way. More changes in the field. Higgins is going to an orthodox extra cover, and Taylor's coming in almost on the catch, actually, probably about 2 strips away from the new batsman's Sole, who tries to reverse sweep first ball and doesn't get anything on it. There's a yelp from Tom Smith, and nothing more than that, and now they're going to switch matters, having seen that one shot, and Higgins is going to stop that just on the edge of the circle at deep point. Smith round the wicket, and that ball goes straight to Higgins. So Tom Smith's got through 4 economical overs again today for Gloucestershire, and he's also got a wicket in his last one as well. Only 3 off that last over, so he's finished, I think, with 1 for 19 if my maths is right. And Northants are 93 for 4. They're chasing 186, so they still need 93, and they've only got 6 overs left.
Yeah, it's going to take some effort now, isn't it, to get up to for Northamptonshire, but this is what this game's all about, and like Rada said, the scene is set now for one of these two to make a name for themselves.
Well, somebody's going to have to, because at the moment Northamptonshire are in danger of coming a fairly distant second, having won 4 on the bounce. Of course, this will be 4th on the bounce for Gloucestershire if they manage to close this game out. And his start of a fresh over from Ryan Higgins, and that's a single to Rossington as he squeezes it out into the offside. Takes Rossington up to 23, and Northamptonshire up to 94 for 4, having lost Sterling for 32, Levy for 20, Josh Cobb for 0, Alex Wakely for 14. And it's been the Gloucestershire spinners, as we've been saying, who've done the damage, with Van Buren 4 overs 3 for 15, and Tom Smith 4 overs 1 for 18. Excellent stuff by those two. Higgins in again, bowls to Tom Sole, very full, and he drives it away, and it beats the man at long off. It's heading out towards the boundary, and they come back for 2, and that's all there's going to be. Excellent bit of fielding, which we couldn't actually see.
No,
but Miles Hammond down
Miles Hammond down in front of us, and
it was going at pace, wasn't it?
Judging by the reaction, that was a good stop. But Sole is away with 2, 96 for 4. Tom Sole, having made his T20 debut for Northamptonshire 2 years ago, played 6 games in the competition last year, and this year he played in the first match at Worcester, where once again he distinguished himself in the field, as he did today, and didn't get a chance to bat. Well, now he's got a chance to show what he can do as Higgins comes in, bowls to him, goes wide outside the off stump, he just jams down on it, he could be run out, and he isn't, as Sol coming through for a single. It's called through by Adam Rossington, had to make a bit of ground. If the throw had hit the stumps, I think he'd have been gone from the bowler, but it didn't. He survives. Fortunately there was somebody backing up. So it's a single for Sol, who just jammed the ball down into the ground, and Adam Rossington is charging towards him, suggesting he run sharpish. 3 to him, 97 for 4. And Rossington facing that ball from Higgins and aiming for a ball that was wide outside off stump to hit him through mid-wicket.
Yeah, he's now gone across the stumps. He's going the other way to the spinner. He was giving himself room. Now to the seamer, he's going across off stump, which takes that guideline, goes with the batsman as well, so he can fire it even wider than that.
2 balls to go in the over, 97 for 4. Higgins bowls to Rossington, who clubs that down towards long on. He's only going to get a single, as it's again good fielding down on the fence in front of us. Rossington up to 25 rather, 98 for 4, so Northamptonshire still needing another 88 runs, but there's just 31 balls left, so it's asking rate really spiralling. Higgins in again, bowls wide outside the off stump to Sol, who stood his ground, and that was clearly going to be a wide and signalled as such by umpire Nick Cook, so Higgins is going to have to bowl that one again. 99 for 4. Cut-off time is 17 minutes past 5, so 23 minutes to bowl 5 overs, which shouldn't be a problem. Higgins bowls again outside the off stump, and Sol looks to drive, doesn't really get a lot on it, doesn't time it, but he gets a single as it goes up to extra cover on the edge of the circle. 1 more to Sol, who goes to 4. That's the 100 up for Northamptonshire. Rossington is 25. 15 overs gone. Northamptonshire 100 for 4, so just 7 runs off that one, which is nothing like enough. And the equation, 86 to win, 5 overs to go. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. We're going to see some fireworks now. November the 5th will have to come early, I think, for this one to go Northampton's way, but Gloucestershire have been very, very disciplined here, and it takes me back actually to the 90s when I used to play against them for Worcester and Leicestershire, and they were a very disciplined late 90s, early 2000s one-day side. They've done very well. They've gone out there today. They've hit the pitch hard with the seamers, and then the spinners have come on and controlled the game. Obviously, the difference has been Van Buren picking 3 wickets up in the way he did. Changed the game around, changed it on its head. But one thing that Higgins has done there, I think, is really impressive. Is he's come on at 2 different stages of the game, one just after power play and one then, and he's come in and he's bowled very good death type bowling.
Well, 5 overs to go. I think the maths is pretty easy for Jack Taylor for who to use where from here. David Payne coming back now from the Bennett end, from the Win Wilson end, I should say. Bennett end's at Leicester, isn't it? Sorry about that. And that's a dot ball, that's a touch to. So Payne will bowl 2 from the far end. Higgins will bowl 2 from this end, and Matt passed over. I would think that's the way they'll work it. And that would mean that he's only used 5 bowlers today, which is relatively unusual. John Scott wouldn't have got a bowl, but Payne's going to come round the wicket now to Sol. He's just changing his line, so 100 for 4 at the start of the 16th over. Payne's bowled 1 dot ball, and he's got a newish batsman to bowl to. Payne left arm round the wicket, and that's down the leg side, and it's signalled as a wide. Sol went right across, but it was quite, even if he'd have been standing where he would normally stand, that was still quite a lot down the leg side from David Payne, who hasn't quite got the radar right yet. BBC Northampton and also BBC Sport Online, on DAB on BBC Radio Northampton this afternoon. Don't forget commentary on the Cobblers tomorrow. Here is a dot ball again from Payne, who's running back to his mark. That was just back of a length. Sol tried to crack it away over the infield on the offside, and it will be again an opportunity for the batsman just have a chat, because surely Sol wants to get Rossington on strike here. Rossington's got 25, he's the more experienced player, and there are singles out there for Northampton, at least to try and rotate the strike and get the more experienced man facing. Payne again, to Sol this time. He's got this over the infield. That will be 4. That was what he was trying to do earlier. And he's got himself into a better position to do it.
Yeah.
104 for 4, 105 for 4.
It looked like that was pace on from Payne, and Sol just stayed slightly leg side of it and opened the blade and got it over that inner offside ring field. Nobody out there on the boundary on the offside.
Jack Taylor's got himself, Scott, Smith and Higgins all saving the single on the offside. Higgins is a short third man. He's got a backward point, squarish cover and an extra cover. He's got a long off out as well. Sol hits that in the air towards long off. Will Cobain be able to take the catch? He will. He's Gloucestershire's specialist fielder in that position, and Sol goes. It's a wicket for David Payne, and 105 for 5 now, Northants, and they won't want to look at the Duckworth Lewis score because it's horrible.
Sol will be disappointed because he did the hard work. He got himself into a good position. It's one step ahead of the bowler, and he did sort of just put it on a plate, but instead of hitting it flat over extra cover where there is no boundary riders or anybody out there in the deep, he's sort of flat batted it straight to long off, trying to hit the ball too hard. I mean, it must be difficult now for the Northants batters because they know full well they can't win this game by just knocking it around, so they do have to hit boundaries, and to be fair to them now, they'll need to start clearing the boundary to get anywhere close.
So in comes Luke Proctor at number 7, far from the worst number 7 you could have in this competition, but he's got an awfully big task ahead of him. Batsman crossed, so Rossington on strike, but he's scoring at less than a run a ball here for his 25, and that's hit into the ground, and that'll only be a single as well, I suspect, as Payne goes out into the leg side to field himself at sort of what would have been short mid-on, I suppose. And Rossington looks like he's having one of those days where he's not really timing it as he would want.
No, he can't get going, can he?
He can't get it off the square, almost.
Credit to the Gloucestershire bowlers here, because he's a good player and his strike rate's right up there. They've bowled very, very well to Rossington today.
So Payne switches to over the wicket now to the left-handed Luke Proctor. Comes in towards us and bowls to him. Proctor plays a pleasant enough shot straight to Jack Taylor, who tries to shy at the non-striker's end, but Proctor's probably would have been home anyway. And Payne has got through a successful over, his first wicket of the day. It's 108, I think that will tick round to in a moment. 107, it is 107, it's 107 for 5, 3 overs to go. And I suppose the question here is about the margin of defeat for Northants. If they've got to get as close as they can to keep their run rate.
Yes, no, that's
as good as possible.
No, it's a good point. Interesting seeing these two together. Proctor and Rossington, of course, wrote their names into the record books jointly with a long rearguard action to save Bob Willis Trophy match at Edgbaston right at the start of the season back in early August. Something of a slightly different order required here. 107 for 5, and Proctor is going to pick up a boundary there, as that's a full toss. Not a particularly impressive delivery from Higgins, and it goes away to the boundary at deep backward square for 4. So dreaded Nelson on the board, 111 for 5. Luke Proctor goes to 5, and they're going to need an awful lot more of those if they're going to get close. Higgins in again, bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Proctor. That goes down the leg side, and it's signalled wide by umpire Nick Cook, who does a promising impersonation of a Spitfire waggling its wings, signalling that to the scorers. 112 for 5, 74 runs needed off 23 balls, which is an awful lot of boundaries, I suspect. As Higgins comes in again, bowls to Proctor, tickles that round the corner, and it's well fielded by the man just on the edge of the square at 45, David Payne, but they still managed to get a single. 113 for 5, Proctor up to 6. Yeah, Adam Rossington coming back into the side, having not played for a while, and just not quite striking the ball as well as he can. 26 off 29, which is relatively pedestrian by his standards. Higgins coming over the wicket to him, bowls full length outside off stump, And Rossington drives, doesn't really time it again. He goes up to long off and he picks up a single. He goes to 27. 114 for 5. And Ben, I suspect when we come to talk to coaches and whatnot at the end of the game, my feeling is that Northamptonshire basically lost this in the field.
Yeah.
With the ball anyway, let's not say the field. It's Higgins in again, bowls, and Proctor again turns it round the corner. Once again Payne fields and they pick up a single. 7 to him, 115 for 5. They fielded well, but the bowling at times just seemed a little bit predictable.
Yeah, just looking through some of the notes I've made, it does look as though, yeah, definitely Gloucestershire have out-bowled Northamptonshire in this game.
Well, here's Rossington setting himself again, 27 off 30 balls. Higgins bowls to him wide outside the off stump. He drives out towards backward point boundary and he's going to get runs. That's a super bit of fielding out there, just in front of the west stand again, and keeps it to 2. That was looking as though it might just run away for 4, but they keep it down to 2. And Rossington 29, 117 for 5, 69 needed, but just 19 balls remaining. There's Higgins bowls again, and Rossington thumps that down the ground, and he's caught at long off.
Yep.
And Rossington is out, and I'll tell you in a minute who caught it, as it was out of our sight.
Chris Dent.
Chris Dent. Thanks, Ian. You were standing up at the time, so you're actually able to see who caught it. Yep, Chris Dent took the catch. So Rossington goes for 29 off 32 balls, and the end not far away now. 17 overs gone. Northamptonshire 117 for 6.
Well, Higgins is just quietly starting to impress with the ball. How he's sort of outguessed the batsman. Rossington's using the crease a lot during this innings to try and make something happen, to try and throw the bowlers off their line and length, to get himself into a position where he can hit the ball for boundaries. However, Higgins, he's followed him. Rossington's given himself a bit of room. He's kept it wide outside his arc. If Rossington gets across the crease, Higgins has not been afraid to go even wider, so still keep the ball out the arc. He's bowled to his field. What Jack Taylor's done is he's set the fields for his bowlers to bowl to the big boundary where it's well defended. Gloucestershire have been very, very impressive. Their disciplines have been fantastic, and their energy in the field obviously has backed that up really, supremely well.
Well, Graham White's come in at number 8. Probably got to play the innings of his life, I would have thought, from here. He and Luke Proctor. 3 overs to go. David Payne to bowl the 18th from the far end towards our commentary position, and Proctor goes for the scoop, and he's going to get 4.
Great shot.
That's a clever bit of cricket from Proctor, who stepped outside the off stump and scooped Payne into the safest area on the ground.
Yeah, well, if it's any time you've got to get brave as a batter and you can play shots like that, then now's the time, because that's pace on from Payne hard into the pitch just outside off stump. Proctor's jumped into the channel of the line behind the ball and scooped it over his right shoulder.
121 for 6. The target is 186, so still 65 needed. Only 2 overs to go after this. Payne to Proctor once more, and that's further up and outside the off stump. And Jack Taylor decides he's not going to go for the shy at the non-striker's end this time, and Proctor goes through for a single to bring the right-handed White onto strike for the first time. So as I would think Higgins will bowl the 19th over and Matt Taylor will bowl the last one. And Jack Taylor just checking where Payne wants Dent, and the answer is he wants him out on the rope, and Higgins also is on the rope now at deep backward square. Payne left arm around the wicket, bowls, and it's edged to the short to the man at short third man for a single by Graham White, but that will get Proctor back on strike once more. How inventive, Andrew, is Proctor as a batsman?
Well, as we haven't seen him play any T20 cricket this year, he's played exclusively red ball cricket. When he was blocking it all day against Warwickshire at Edgbaston, the answer was not very inventive. But,
and actually, because he generally would bat down the order, he doesn't actually bat very much.
No.
One would think. Payne in, and Proctor goes for the big sweep onto the leg side, and Hammond goes for the shy at the keeper's end. He misses, but there's some backing up being done, or good backing up done from Tom Smith. So there'll only be just the single. 124 for 6, 2 overs left after this. I know that we'll come back to that point that, you know, Andrew felt that 160 might have been a par score on this wicket, and Northants get that far, they'll be 30 short. That close to it. In the air, but safe from Graham White. 2 bounces out to Chris Dent, who gets his throw away quickly, having come round from deep mid-wicket, almost to wide, long on, and they'll come back for 2. But that's absolutely fine from Gloucestershire's point of view at the moment.
Yeah.
As long as there aren't a raft of no balls or anything really silly, they've got the game where they want it. 126 for 6. Payne around the wicket to White, who goes aerial once more. That's going to go over Ryan Higgins, and it's going to spin away for 4. It was over the man at short third man, and because Higgins is 30 yards in from the rope, it bounced away and added a further boundary to the Northants total. So I think 13 off that over. 130 for 6, 2 overs to go, but they still need 56 off 12 balls.
Huge ask, isn't it? But again, with this type of competition, the games come thick and fast now, and Northamptonshire will still want these two to keep this momentum of this innings going. They won't want to just it to dwindle away. They'll want to go down fighting. So let's, you know, give it as good as we can get for the next 12 balls and take some confidence from that. They'll be disappointed after this, though. They'll sit down and think, well, they did lose it. And I'm in agreement with Radders. I think Northamptonshire have probably lost this with the way they bowled today.
Ryan Higgins about to start his 4th and final over. 1 over, 1 wicket for 26 so far. It's Higgins bowls round the wicket to left-handed Proctor, who swings, misses, and manages to drop his bat, which has gone behind the stumps. The slight surprise being that it didn't actually fly back onto the stumps and he'd be on his way. But Proctor on 13, as we say, making his first appearance of the season in T20 cricket. Higgins round the wicket, bowls to him, he drives that nicely up to extra cover, where it's fielded by Jack Taylor, and they come through for a single, which is of not a great deal of use to Northamptonshire in terms of winning this game, but I think we can fairly safely say the game has gone. As Ben says, just a question of getting as close as they can, pushing up the run rate a little bit, and taking a little bit of momentum of some kind to Glamorgan on Sunday.
So just at the start of today, Gloucestershire's run rate 1.306 positive, Northants positive 1.22. So
it can make a difference, can't it? It could well make a difference. Final equation as White slices that away through backward point and picks up a boundary. So back-to-back boundaries for Graham White. He goes to 11 off 4 balls, 135 for 6. So Graham White in that interesting position for, as he is now, exclusively a white ball cricketer. And I was talking to him after the game against Birmingham, and he said, you know, the fact that you've obviously had to wait until the end of August to get on the field, because you haven't played any red ball cricket at all. As Higgins comes in, bowls to him, he drives that one away, and that's going to be 4 more. Goes again through backward point. It's a full toss, and White onto it like a flash, laced it away through backward point. So 3 boundaries in 3 balls for Graham White, 15 off 5 balls, 139 for 6.
I think he's probably realised now after those 3 balls, this is a strength of White's.
Yes.
Just to slice the ball square of the wicket on the offside. It's worked very well against Rossington, who's a bit more straighter down the ground, hitting the ball back hard, but White's using the pace there.
Higgins in again, bowls to White, who drives down the ground, exactly as Ben Smith called it, and he gets a single down to long on, hit it crisply enough. 1 more to White, 16 to him, 140 for 6. Yes, and he was saying the fact that he basically has played no cricket of any particular import, and certainly no first team cricket until the end of August, meant that he was absolutely determined to make the most of it when the opportunity came along, and he's had for Northamptonshire a very good series with bat and ball so far. Higgins round the wicket to Proctor, who looks to try and elude that man, paddles it round the corner, looks to try and elude the man at short fine leg, but doesn't, and they get just a single, and that's 1 more to Proctor to end the over. 14 to him, 16 to White. Northamptonshire having taken 11 off that over, 141 for 6, so 6 legal deliveries will be good enough to see Gloucestershire home and hosed. And I'll leave it to Ian Randall to call it home.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, it'll be Gloucestershire's 4th win in a row in the tournament. They have to play Somerset twice. They've got to go to Cardiff, and they've got a home game against Birmingham. Those are the remaining games. And Northampton have to go to Taunton too, don't they?
Yes, yeah, next Friday.
Matt Taylor then to all the last over to Luke Proctor, who scoops it high in the air. It's going to go over Higgins, and it's going to go again, bouncing away 4-4. So that scoop has been a profitable shot for Luke Proctor in these closing overs. Twice he's worked it over the keeper, over the man up at short fine leg, and away for 4. And Proctor on to 19. White has 16. 145 for 6, but still 41 short Northampton. Matt Taylor bowls to Proctor again. That's outside the off stump, and it was full enough that Proctor went for the club over mid wicket and didn't get a touch. For the first time today, we have, well, it always the first time, we have some hazy sunshine across the ground, and just something that was, I should have mentioned this earlier, but it's more noticeable on the Gloucestershire shirts. They're all wearing a black armband today in memory of David Capel. Wasn't quite as noticeable on the Northampton kit earlier. Taylor outside the off stump, very wide outside the off stump, but cracked away by Proctor to Dent, I should say, who's on the boundary out there.
Nice touch also in front of us on the outfield is Stencil DC331, which was David Cable's Northamptonshire player number.
And if you haven't seen the details of the service, it's to be held, I think, on the 16th, which is Wednesday of next week. Matt Taylor in the last over to bowl to Graham White. How that missed the off stump, Taylor isn't sure, James Bracey isn't sure either, but
I think that's hit the bail.
do you?
Yeah, it's clipped the bail.
And it's bounced up and dropped back on again.
So I'm not sure if I could see that, but definitely, because is it White on strike?
Yes.
Yeah, he's just gone and puts the bail down. It definitely clipped the top of the stump, the bail, and didn't dislodge it.
Didn't dislodge it?
No.
We're in the last over, 146 for 6. At the moment, Gloucestershire's victory margin is going to be 39, but it'll be narrowed a little bit by White, who's going to pick up 2 runs here. Scott with a long throw to the keeper's end, but they're back for a couple. And I bow to Mr. Radd's knowledge of 160 being a good score on this ground, because that certainly has proved to be the case today. Northampton might have got a few more than they've ended up with, but they've still been short. White straight down the ground once more. That should be 2 more. Again, Scott is the chaser, and they'll come back for a couple. And that, in fact, is the end of the last over of the day, and Gloucestershire have won by 35 runs. 150 for 6 is where Northampton's finish. The damage done by the spinners, in particular Graham van Buren, who took 3 wickets in his first 2 overs, but in the end, though Proctor and White both got into the 20s, it wasn't sufficient, and 150 for 6 leaves Gloucestershire with, as you look at the scorecard at the end, Ben, what looks quite a comfortable win.
Yeah, well, it was, wasn't it? In the end, that score, it was way above what Northamptonshire were capable of today. Although you look at the Northamptonshire team on paper and at half-time, we knew it was above par, and probably 20 above par, definitely. However, the fact that Northamptonshire had so much power in the shed, thinking that maybe one of those guys could have come out and come off, it would have been a game where somebody would have had to have fired, and unfortunately, apart from Sterling early on that got himself going, nobody else could get in and bat long enough and put on a big enough partnerships with others batting around to get close. But don't take anything away from the way Gloucestershire have played today. They've been outstanding. I think that Dent and Cobain partnership was obviously one to watch. The 9